minimum building setback to a
Just
residential
says 300, it's minimum building.
setback
Sweet.
to a use or is it-
We're all set, Danielle?
was that lot line?
Building setback, so it is a building.
All right, everybody, welcome to the March 8th meeting of the Millstone Township Planning Board. Danielle, would you please read the statement of adequate notice?
In accordance with Chapter 231 PL 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required, specifying the time and location with such notice as being sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Times of Trenton, posted on the Municipal Public Notice Meeting Bulletin Board, and filed with the Township Clerk.
Okay, thank you. Would everyone please stand and join us for a flag salute? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Danielle, would you please call the roll?
Chairman Newman,
Yes.
Mayor Farrow,
Yes.
Committeewoman Zabrowski.
Yes.
Mr. Coffey.
Yes.
Mr. Cato.
Yes.
Ms. Sinha.
Yes.
Mr. Ziner.
Yes.
And for the record, Mr. Pepe, Mr. Beck, and Ms. Riley are all absent this evening, and we do have one vacant spot, so please tell your friends if they're interested in joining the board. A little shameless plug here, let's apply through the clerk's office and fill out a talent application.
Okay, wow, Mr. Beck isn't here.
Must
That
be
never
Oh,
happens.
yes.
It's a first.
Yeah, he usually wins.
It's Randy Johnson's mother's funeral tonight.
Okay. All right, I guess that's okay.
Wow.
But he's not going to get the award. Doesn't he typically get the unofficial
Attendance
award?
award?
Yeah, attendance award. Huh. All right, well, it's up for grabs, everybody. I'll be tapping out soon, I'm sure. Chris tapped out in January. He's not here, so I can say whatever I want.
You do realize this is on video,
right? You think Chris is watching the video? All right, this is an opportunity for public comment. If anyone in the audience would like to approach the board on anything that's not otherwise scheduled for public discussion, this is your opportunity. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion and move on to approval of a couple sets of minutes. We'll do them individually. The first is February 8th, 2023. Would someone like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from February 8th meeting.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any comments or suggested revisions? Seeing none, Danielle, please call the roll.
Chairman Newman,
Yes.
Committeewoman Zabrowski.
Yes.
Mr. Cato,
Yes.
and Mr. Ziner.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next up is our February 16th, 2023 special meeting minutes. Is there someone that would like to make a motion to approve those minutes? That was our video meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any comments or suggested revisions? Seeing none, Danielle, please call the roll.
Chairman Newman,
Yes.
Committeewoman Zabrowski.
Yes.
Mr. Coffey,
Yes.
Mr. Cato,
Yes.
Mr. Ziner.
Yes.
All right, and I did want to thank the board again for taking time out of everyone's schedule to fit in that special meeting. We do appreciate it, especially during the middle of the day. Next are resolutions. The first one is a proposed resolution to adopt rules and regulations. So this is one that has been, if you recall, kicking around a couple of meetings. Danielle, with Mike's oversight, took a shot at some proposed rules and regulations for the planning board, and I finally had a chance to take a hard look at it. Quite frankly, I think there's more there than we need in a typical set of rules and regulations, and I fall under the umbrella of less is more, and I'd rather have Mike and Danielle, given her experience, guide us on a meeting-to-meeting basis as issues come up. But there are a few things in here that I think that we can use to create some rules that don't really exist in writing, but they are practice points that we do, whether we realize it or not. So I would like to ask the board if they would allow me to continue to work with Danielle to fine-tune this. Right now it's, I didn't count, but let's say 15 pages. My suggestion is with a little elbow grease, we can get it down to a couple of pages and just target some things where I think the board would be benefited from some guidance. So unless anyone has any questions or concerns, my suggestion is we're going to table this resolution, and I need to do a little bit more homework to get something to present that I think we'll all be happy with. Okay, does that sound all right?
Sure.
All right, thanks. I appreciate you not asking me to go into all the details, because let's just keep going. Thank you for your trust. Next is a resolution, Novak Court LLC, Block 5701, Lot 19.03. Would someone like to make a motion to memorialize that resolution? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second it.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or suggested revisions? Seeing none, Danielle, please call the roll.
Chairman Newman,
Yes.
Committeewoman Zabrowski.
Yes.
Mr. Tito,
Yes.
Mr. Ziner.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Next up is our master plan. We need to discuss for tonight and then vote at our next meeting on some proposed amendments. So I'd like to turn it over to Mike to update us on that, and then we can determine how to move forward.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman of Board, this is a proposed revision to portions of the housing element and fair share plan. The impetus of this was because we have several municipally sponsored affordable housing projects that we've been advised by Affordable Housing Alliance, who is going to be developing them, that there have been some revisions to the regulations regarding funding. And in order to comply with those regulations, we need to do a little bit of fine tuning to our municipally sponsored affordable projects in order to make them in compliance with the funding requirements and to make them more attractive to funding sources so that we have a better shot at getting those funding things. In addition to that, the reason it's come on rather quickly is because those funding sources, the application process is going to be starting this spring, and Affordable Housing Alliance wants to be able to be within that, get in that process at the earliest possible time to maximize the probability that they're going to get the funding for these projects. So McKinley put together a revised master plan. I'm going to go over the couple of main points which really address these municipally sponsored affordable housing projects. And then in that process, it was decided that there is a lot of background material, and all of that material is based on the 2010 census, and which is now outdated because we have a 2020 census. So all of that stuff was updated so that we're now current with the most recent census data. Rather than putting that off and having to do that again in another 2 years, we might as well do it all in one shot. Make that data coherent and current and put that together. So the principal changes, other than updating everything in terms of numbers, is that we have the municipally sponsored CKV project at 27 Burnt Tavern Road. And that was proposed to be a 49-unit affordable complex. And we were advised by Affordable Housing Alliance that this new funding program that they are now going to apply for would prefer to see a larger number, and we could qualify for 60 units, thus increasing our productivity by 11 units, giving us additional units, assuming they get built before 2025, and we're over our requirement. We then roll them over into the next round, and we're ahead of the game on the next round. This program, it's a low-income housing tax credit program, which, according to Chris Puglisi at Affordable Housing Alliance, we're in better shape to obtain the funding if we move up to 60 units, and those units previously were going to be for sale units, and he's also advised that the market's going to be much better for rental units. So we would like to change from for sale units to a rental project. So those are the changes in the proposed housing element and fair share plan with regard to CKV. The other municipally sponsored site is Shoe Lee at 14 Novad Court. That was originally proposed at 30 units. However, the new funding regulations and the funding program that is now available to Affordable Housing Alliance will not fund a development over 25 units. So we're proposing to reduce that number of units on that project from 30 to 25. And that will qualify for this program that the Affordable Housing Alliance thinks is a very good program, that they have a good shot at getting the funding on that program. So we're proposing a reduction of 5 units, still gives us a net overall increase of 6 units over what we previously had. We do have another municipally sponsored project, Allen House 2. Allen House 2 is in good shape. We're pretty much funded on that. We've started clearing, the site's been cleared, it's graded, that's moving along. We don't need any changes to that, that's in good shape. And we then have a municipally owned property at 6 Novad Court, which the municipality has worked with and coordinated with the Affordable Housing Alliance. We previously got 1 credit in the prior round for that. It was a single unit, affordable unit. It's been in very poor condition. The resident there passed away, so it's now vacant, and we're getting to the end of round 3. So Affordable Housing Alliance is proposing to construct a new 3-unit on that property, and that they are going toward the, let's see, they've got funding received from New Jersey Department of Community Affairs National Housing Trust Fund, and they have a small gap that they're looking to the county home funds that they think they're going to be able to get the balance of funds for that. So we're proposing to add that into our program, which will add another 3 units. So we'll be we'll be plus 9 over what is current. I can tell the board that I have had communications with Fair Share Housing Center, and that they positively received our proposed changes, although we haven't accomplished a written amendment to the settlement agreement. But they, as of now, we've had all positive feedback from them on it. There is an amendment that has been prepared, that I've prepared in draft. I've gotten comments from McKinley and done those revisions, and they will be going out to Fair Share Housing for their review tomorrow. And then we hope that we will be locked in with them before the end of the month. So that's how things are progressing. That's the basis for the Housing Element Fair Share Plan revisions. And the folks who drafted it are here. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add.
I don't think so. I think you covered it all. That, like you said, we just updated the demographics and then just made changes to those 3 developments so that the numbers of units would work for the funding options available. I think that's everything.
I have a question. You said that that Housing Alliance goes out for funding to various sources. If the project is going to cost X to come to fruition, and one of those funding sources does not come to fruition, what happens then?
They're going to look for another funding source.
And
If they don't find another funding source as part of the original settlement, as with, quite honestly, every settlement in every municipality in the state that Fair Share Housing Center has been involved with as an adversary, there's a provision in that settlement agreement that the town will step in to pick up the ball on lapses in the funding if we don't get it.
regardless of amount.
Regardless of amount.
Wow. That's interesting. Thank you.
But for now,
You
there's-
actually, I'll add to that, which is even worse, another knife to the heart, is that as part of the settlement agreement, the court required that the governing body adopt a resolution agreeing that if there's a shortfall, they'll go and bond or do what they have to do to get these projects done.
It's very fair.
But for now, the anticipation is that the funding's there.
We have all good signs from affordable housing that they're moving forward well, and they're very positive about the funding that's coming down. Similar to the Allen House 2, where they're basically fully funded on that.
They did Allen House
and
1 too.
And Novad Court, they already have commitments for funding on that. So they're moving the process.
So what's our charge for tonight? Do we need to take action?
No, you need to open up to the public for any questions or comments. And then, once that's closed, I would suggest that the board just carry this for a vote to next month. I'll have a resolution prepared so that you can vote and adopt a resolution at the same time, so as not to lose any time for Affordable Housing Alliance. The hope is that within the next couple of weeks, we're going to reach our approval with Fair Share Housing Center and have an agreement in place.
Okay. Thanks. So we'd like to open it up to the public. If any members of the public has any questions or comments on our proposed adoption to an amendment to our affordable housing plan, now's an opportunity to approach the board. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Was there any comments or questions from any board members before we adjourn this topic and carry it to the next evening?
Just had one question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
The units in CKV, is it only the 11 that's going to become rental, the additional 11, or the whole project is going to become rental?
CKV is all rental. It's all family rental.
49, right? All 60?
It's going to be 60.
All 60 become rental? Okay.
Thanks. Let's just take a voice vote. All in favor of proceeding to carry this to the next meeting with Mike preparing a resolution in anticipation of a vote, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Danielle, you'll carry that, please. Thank you. Next up on our agenda is an application or continuation of an application, 37 Burnt Tavern LLC, Block 57, Lot 17.04. Is there someone here on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Kenneth Pape on behalf of the applicant.
Mr. Pape, excuse the very cold room. I don't know what to say.
It's warmed up. It's much better.
Okay. It did warm up a little bit. I don't know if that's because of the amount of people or... Oh, it did. There you go.
You said it, not me.
I'll own it. I think the temperature up because it's switched something over.
Mr. Chairman, let me just interrupt Mr. Pape before he actually even starts. The board has received several exhibits since the last meeting, so I'd like to just put those on the record before we start. We ended with 835. We now have, this is applicant's exhibits, we now have Exhibit 836, which is a Freehold Soil Conservation District Review Revision. That's dated February 1, 2023. Exhibit 837 is an extension of time to act through April 30, 2023 from the applicant. Exhibit 838 is a response memorandum from Dynamic Engineering. That's dated February 24, 2023. Exhibit 839 is a driveway easement exhibit sheet prepared by Dynamic Engineering. That's dated February 24, 2023. Exhibit 840 is a conceptual improvement plan A consisting of one sheet prepared by Dynamic Traffic LLC. That's dated February 22, 2023. Exhibit 841 is a land acquisition survey for Monmouth County Park System consisting of one sheet prepared by Harris Surveying Incorporated. That's dated November 30, 2022. Exhibit 842 is an overall residential setback exhibit consisting of one sheet prepared by Dynamic Engineering, dated March 7, 2023. We also have one additional board exhibit from the Tax Assessor's Review. That's dated October 5, 2022, Exhibit P7. Those are the new documents that we received since the last meeting, and I will now defer to Mr. Pape.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, board members, board professionals, and public, good evening. Kenneth Pape on behalf of your applicant, 37 Burnt Tavern LLC. This is a continued public hearing. We began our substantive presentation to this board at the February meeting. That meeting, Tom Muller, our design engineer, presented his testimony, and it was followed by Justin Taylor, the traffic engineer. And the board and the applicant and the board's professionals engaged in a fairly detailed and lengthy colloquy on the different ways of approaching road improvements to Burnt Tavern. you'll recall that we actually called for some direction from the board because there was direction in more than one direction, and the general consensus of the board was to work on a redesign of the road improvements to the intersection of Burnt Tavern and Route 537, and to encourage the truck movements, encourage or restrict the truck movements in that direction. And this evening, we have a presentation that incorporates those revisions. Mr. Muller, I intend to call Mr. Muller as the first witness to introduce the plans that have been created to carry out such an improvement. He also has other things to report to the board. Board asked that he come back with advising the board of the cut and fill and grading calculations, and he has that. And also, since we were before you at the early February meeting, both your Environmental Commission and Shade Tree Commission have issued reports, and he'll present those and their findings. And at his conclusion, I intend to call Justin Taylor then to go through the traffic elements of the plan that are shown on Tom's plan. And from there, we would go to our architect, who is David Collins, who is here, and ultimately to our planner, Allison Coffin. And before we begin the presentation, is there anything further to place on the record before the applicant begins the presentation?
I do have a question, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
To Mr. Pape, just for clarification, when I was reading back in my notes, the road itself, Burnt Tavern Road, you were only interested in making corrections or improvements on the bend only, and not interested in doing the entire road, correct?
That's what
But you were going to do improvements on the bend. That was,
So it's all in play, Mr. Pato. If we're sending if we're restricted from sending any trucks in that direction, I'm not making any improvements in that direction. If we're sending trucks in that direction, we identified that there needs to be an improvement at what we call the pinch point. Correct?
right at that bend.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I went as far as hooking up a trailer and going on that road, and it is an issue.
The pinch point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
extreme issue, and I was only pulling a 24-foot trailer, so I can imagine what a tractor trailer would do. It is tight. I'm just more interested in what we're doing at that point, and I know that you did say, according to my notes, that you were going to improve that point, but not the remaining road.
I know that you don't mean Ken Pape's going to improve that road. I spoke on behalf of our applicant, who indicated that he...
Well, I'm just, 'cause I remember
Yes.
you were limited last time that
Yes.
it was basically the town's responsibility to
Pave the road.
pave it or to do any improvements on it.
Well,
To handle the
resurfacing,
trucks.
resurfacing. But we did,
Right.
we had agreed with Mr. Shafai that there was a pinch point that needed to be addressed.
Right.
We,
Where the one tree is basically up on the macadam on that point. So that's where you're willing to,
But, Mr. Pedro, I think the whole improvement program is up for discussion this evening. I think we need to,
I just wanted to make sure that you were willing to do that pinch point, so you call
as part of the other improvement plan, I think we're all,
it. Okay,
it's all been designed.
I think we're on the same page.
Okay, thank you.
And Tom, just to add another factor, Mike had sent around a memo that the applicant hasn't seen, that me and Mike and Matt had met with the county to ask them what their perspective was and to ask what they were requiring. And they had, in my recollection, they had indicated that the applicant had proposed what you're calling the pinch point improvements, the theory being that that's where their trucks were gonna go. So my point in that meeting was to say, okay, but what if we don't want them to go there? What if we want the trucks to only go to
537.
537? Is that feasible? And they didn't seem to have a concern. They didn't say no. They said, yeah, but we have improvements that we're planning for 537, they
Right.
said. So they showed us, but wouldn't send us the plan. And
But I think what they're adamant about was making the left-hand turn onto Burnt Tavern Road from 537. I think that was the big issue, where
Not, I mean, the county didn't say anything was a
Yeah, okay.
big issue, strangely enough. So, but what they did show us was that they have a plan, who knows when the plan happens, they said 3 to 5 years. They have a plan to take the traffic light where the outlets come onto 537 at T intersection now and turn it into a circle. Get rid of the light. And secondly, at Burnt Tavern and 537, that would be right in, right out only.
Right.
So I then said, well, how would a truck make a left into Burnt Tavern? And they said, well, that truck will go up and go around the circle. You know, I said, okay, a truck can do that. And they said, yes, the circle will be designed for big trucks. There was a phrase they used. I said, okay, so then truck comes off of 195, goes around the circle, makes then a nice clean right in. So we got that additional info, but all this is just table setting. I think the right move now is let's hear the applicant's proposal. They heard us at the last meeting where we told them that we were concerned about them sending trucks into Millstone, and even though they were gonna come back out at the intersection of 537 and 571, and wanted to see what they could do with that concern. So let's get there.
I think we'll start with Tom Muller putting the plan before you. We'll do a little bit of engineering housekeeping. Part of that will be to present the plan that he has created, working with Mr. Taylor, and then we'll have Mr. Taylor come up and we'll continue the colloquy in the exchange.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Mr. Muller. Mr. Thomas Muller is a professional engineer. His credentials are on the record. He was accepted as an expert in his field and placed under oath. We can remind him that he's under oath when he's ready to begin his testimony. Would it be appropriate at this hour to ask those members who were not at the February meeting, have they read, listened, or otherwise qualified for this evening?
I'll defer to Danielle, but I think they have.
Mayor Farrow has
Thank you.
reviewed it and has certified and signed his affidavit. Ms. Sinha has not, but she's going to participate and not vote on the meeting today. Everybody else was present. If I recall, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Coffey was
I
not
was-
present and did not review
I was
either.
far away.
So we still have
But-
the 5 vote.
We have,
I did certify, I did review, I did look at the exhibits, and I do have several questions for you.
great. Thank you. 1, 2. Okay.
Can I ask questions too?
Yes, you can vote. You can ask, you can vote.
Thanks for your patience. So I have, on the easel, I have an exhibit identified as the driveway easement exhibit. Do you want me to grab the mic?
Mr. Mueller, just put your name and address on the record, and you understand that you were previously sworn, you're still under oath.
Absolutely. Thomas Muller, M-U-L-L-E-R, Dynamic Engineering Consultants, 1904 Main Street, Lake Como, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Mr.
Can
Miller?
we turn it a little?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you,
Or
do you have
back
it,
here?
do you have an electronic format?
Yeah, it was emailed. It should be exhibit 839.
Thank you.
So this was read into the record. Exhibit 839 is a driveway easement exhibit prepared by Dynamic Engineering Consultants. It's one page. It's dated February 24th, 2023. So my testimony here is going to be very quick. What we did was we prepared this exhibit. We worked hand in hand with the traffic engineer, Justin Taylor, who we hear from in a few minutes. But we heard the concerns from the town at the last meeting loud and clear. And what I did was I looked at the site layout and we identified a relatively simple modification to the site plan layout that's going to require us to force all the trucks to make a right out of this facility and send them right back down Burnt Tavern Road to the intersection of 537. There was a lot of discussion at the last hearing about sending trucks left on Burnt Tavern Road into Millstone, into those problematic intersections. We completely understand your concerns, so we're completely eliminating that from the equation. We're forcing all those trucks to go right back onto Burnt Tavern Road and then back to Route 537. And to accomplish that, we're doing a relatively simple site plan modification. So our southern driveway on the bottom left of Exhibit 839 is being modified to provide a wider curb radii to the south side of the driveway. So that's going to allow trucks to make a right out of the site without crossing into the oncoming traffic. It's a nice wide radius that will prevent any kind of conflict of any cars going in the northbound direction. As a result of doing that, we do require to get a driveway easement from the adjacent property, which is the Peterbilt site, which is Block 57, Lot 17.01. The applicant's already in conversations with them to acquire that easement. They're well aware that easement would technically be a condition of any kind of action on this application. Overall, the overall site plan layout will not be modified whatsoever, with the exception of those curb radii. We're also modifying the northern driveway striping very slightly to allow those trucks to make a left into the site. So they'll be coming off of Route 537 onto Burnt Tavern Road, and they're going to be making a left into the site. The overall geometry of that northern driveway is essentially the same. We just have to modify the striping at that driveway a little bit. That's really it from Exhibit 839. I'm going to very quickly show the intersection improvement plan that we prepared.
Quick question on that.
Yep,
On the southern driveway, is that going to be one directional or bi-directional?
one direction, egress only.
All right. Is there going to be signage?
Absolutely, yes.
I have a question too, please. I guess there's no more option two?
What's option two?
Option two is that in the front of the building where you're going to do the possible bump out for the additional tenant? Or is that still?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That would still be phase two. We just used phase one as the background for this drawing,
Oh, okay.
but the driveway doesn't affect phase two whatsoever.
Right. So that's still in play?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for clarifying that.
So you're 100% eliminating trucks going toward Millstone Road? with
Correct.
This plan?
Correct.
What would happen in 5 years when the county doesn't allow left out and left in?
As Chairman Newman mentioned, there will be a roundabout proposed and incorporated into that intersection improvement. So it's going to be designed for large trucks, as Mr. Newman mentioned. So those trucks would make that roundabout, and then they would come back down 537 and then make a clean right into Burnt Tavern Road, which will be a little bit better explained with the next exhibit.
Before you go to the next exhibit, if you could just confirm that last month you went through a lot of details of that site plan, grading and drainage and landscaping and lighting and circulation. If you could place on the record that the modification to the driveway to control the exiting movements is the only that and the striping of the other driveway. Those are the only changes, and the integrity of the design remains intact.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you.
Another quick question. Are we going to talk about the actual intersection between Burnt Tavern and 537 as to what road improvements might be done there?
Yep, that's exactly what is shown on the next exhibit that I'll show in just a second.
Okay.
If you would.
Yep. So I believe this is Exhibit A40. This is the Conceptual Improvement Plan A prepared by Dynamic Traffic LLC, dated February 22nd, 2023. I just want to quickly set the table with this exhibit. My associate, Mr. Taylor, is going to do most of the presenting on this. But what we did here was propose some intersection improvements to the intersection of Burnt Tavern Road and Route 537. We worked with Mr. Shafai to acquire the Green Acres parcel map that we discussed at the northeast corner of Burnt Tavern Road and Route 537. So there is a large right-of-way dedication that's being proposed as part of that Green Acre project. So we did overlay that onto this exhibit. We did design the intersection improvements to comply with the boundaries that were being provided as part of that right-of-way dedication. And what we're doing here is we're opening up the radius at the northeast corner of the intersection of Burnt Tavern and Route 537. It's completely designed to allow WB 67 tractor trailers to make a right in, right out, left in, and even a left out if they needed to, although we expect most trucks to go right back onto 195. But again, I don't want to go over this in too much detail. Mr. Taylor is going to be going over it in much more detail. But that is what we're proposing. We're proposing to increase the radius of that intersection.
I have a question, Mr. Pate. That property's privately owned right now,
Correct, yeah.
so.
Well,
that is-
the property, the Green Acres property, we're aware of that. We saw that the plan that was in progress, however you want to
It's
describe
been in
it.
progress for over a year, so.
Okay.
Right, so.
Well,
so-
I have no problem going to talk to Mr. Leibowitz. I mean, I have
Okay, I
the privilege
I
of-
want to be clear that the township does not own the property, it's not,
Yeah.
county owned or Green Acres or anything, it's privately owned at this point.
Okay. Last month we talked about that there was a program that was anticipated, and we asked for the map so that we could make sure we were coloring in the lines.
Yes, we just don't know how long it's going to take, if it will ever come to fruition.
Okay.
Yep.
But I know we're going to get into this with your next witness. Is there anything needed, any property or site triangles or anything needed on the lefts, how do I say it? The
West side.
The west side.
West
yeah, south or west? Yes. Yeah.
No, the only right-of-way would be for the northeast property, the Peterbilt site. We don't need any easements at that intersection. The only easement we would need is for our on-site driveway, but not at this intersection.
So they tractor trailers can make that right turn in its present condition, no issues,
No, there's right-of-way available to make the improvements.
at a future date?
But
No, it's actually under existing conditions. I don't want to take the thunder away from Mr. Taylor, but on Exhibit A40, he did provide vehicle circulation exhibits that show a right out of Burnt Tavern Road onto Route 537 works with no conflict. And then when we make those improvements to the northeast corner, a truck could make a right into that roadway, into Burnt Tavern Road, with no conflict as well. So under existing conditions, the truck could actually make the right out onto Route 537.
And that's with anticipation in the future that the county is going to, make changes to 537 and put a barrier in the center and take 15 to 20 feet of property on both sides of 537?
Yeah, obviously, I'm not exactly sure what the county is proposing, but under existing conditions, the right out does not require the truck to encroach over the center line of oncoming traffic. So assuming the county brings in a median on the center line, the truck would easily work.
Yeah, but
because
it's not just that. They're gonna widen, they're gonna make a turning lane, and they're gonna be going into that Green Acres portion that you have on the map. So, I just wanna,
Yeah,
make
we
sure
did-
that everybody's on the same page.
I think we have to talk about two sides of the intersection, to be
But
real clear.
let's just take it to the next step. Let's assume that the board is satisfied with this, and there's an approval. The applicant still has to go back to the county
Your condition.
to get their approval, and I would expect the county at that time to pull out that plan that they showed me, Matt, and Mike, and say, it works, or it'll work in the future. But the little I saw, and I wish they would have sent it to us, it didn't seem like that would be a problem, because they weren't showing, to my recollection, anything in the middle of 537. It was really just creating this right in, right out scenario with a raised curb at the entrance to 537. So, not my area of expertise, but it feels like that's a future improvement that could happen, overlaying what the applicant's proposing tonight.
But making certain that this is reviewed and approved by the county is part of our obligation. We had spent considerable time with the county at the other intersection before this one became a talking point, so.
Speaking about the other intersection, Mr. Pape had suggested that maybe you guys could do improvements at both sections, because at some point in the future, depending on who your tenants are and the flow of traffic and the number of trucks coming, in and out of the location, There might be a point where traffic's backed up and they have no choice but to go up 571 and make the left turn onto Burn Tavern. So, and I know Mr. Pape had suggested that some sort of improvements be made for that, to address that condition.
Mr. Peta was talking about the
You
pinch
suggested
point,
it.
which was in between.
He suggested, right?
I think that I'm going to not respond to the request for improvements at 537, improvements at the pinch point, and redoing the intersection at 571 and Burn Tavern Road. I think we'll go through a colloquy of what the board members are looking for in the way of improvements. I'm trying to find a polite way to say this. There comes a point where it just doesn't make any sense.
I like to
I
speak out
understand.
and be, transparent. At some point, there's gonna be a backup. Trucks are gonna go down Millstone Road. They're going to make that left turn. There are gonna be, maybe a right out of the property is gonna be congested, during the summer, and we have Adventures Crossing there, we have, Great Adventure there. So there's gonna be traffic issues that are not being anticipated here, and I'd like to discuss them out in the open at this juncture. So there might be, drivers that make the left turn onto Burn Tavern Road. So that creates a scenario that might be unsafe to the trucker, to the residents of Millstone, and visitors coming into our town. So I'd like to speak about it publicly and transparently and get everybody's feedback at this juncture, not 4 years after the fact.
Understood, Mayor.
That's all. Just trying to protect everybody.
I have a question. Now, there is a lot of routes that the trucks are gonna be going to, like maybe 2 routes, 3 routes, 4 routes. The routes that they go on, they're current roads right now. You might have a road inside to bring it out and all that. Now, all these roads involve in the path of all these trucks. Has anybody evaluate that they can withstand all that traffic with heavy loads and everything? Or you guys have to do remediation for that, improve all these accesses and entrances? Because we drive on paved roads. Regular paved road, maybe 6 inches asphalt, maybe at best 8, 9 inches asphalt. That would be stretching. Now these big trucks are gonna come in there. How many tons? Just a truck and whatever they're loading, and they're gonna be driving over all these roads that belong to Millstone. What are we doing about that?
There's a lot to talk about here, and I don't know where we begin, but you have one property owner on a road that is, on one side is all zoned highway commercial. That's what all the zoning is on the northern side, and on the other side, it's all zoned business park. And I don't know how many acres there are, but you go all the way from 537 all the way into the 571 Trenton Lakewood Road intersection. Every bit of that is all zone BP. And in order to determine what any individual property owner's responsibility is, there needs to be some formula that says what the road improvement is to be, what road improvements to be made, and what percentage of that is associated with each of the properties that are going to be benefiting from it. You can't just pick, we say, you're up and it's there needs to be some formula in place, and there needs to be a road improvement plan in place for the applicant to say, yes, I'll participate in it. But the applicant does not have a responsibility to make all of these improvements for one project on Burn Tavern Road. As all the other projects along Burn Tavern Road have come before you, they each made some improvements. The 2 industrial buildings that are to the north of us, the Shelley School for Dogs, which is to the north of us, the improvements that are at the intersection of Trenton Lakewood Road and Burn Tavern Road years ago, the improvements that were imposed on them. So we need to know what the program is and what the formula is, and then you've got someone who'll say, yes, I'll participate.
But
This is the only site that has these large trucks. None of the other businesses have any large trucks.
Well, you've got highway commercial on the other side, you have the
They're
international
all
truck
business
business.
park.
Well, not yet. And you had 2 industrial buildings that were built on here.
One loading dock with a small truck going in. That's it.
The other variable, Mr. Pape, is we don't know who the tenants are gonna be. And I believe Mr. Taylor said that the traffic study was done on 2 tenants, not 3, which I have a question for him when he comes up to testify. So we don't know who the tenants are gonna be. If those tenants are gonna be, busy businesses, so to speak, where there's gonna be a lot of trucks in and out, that is gonna hold more of destructive forces on the roads as opposed to an adjacent, business that's right next door. So we have to take that into consideration. So when you say there has to be a formula, yes, we have to come up with a formula that is gonna be palatable, for the owner of the property as well as the other businesses that are there. But we don't know what the tenants are. So if we're gonna have 50 trucks, I believe Mr. Taylor said, in and out on a daily basis,
He'll repeat it, yes.
right, 50 trucks, but that's based on 2 tenants. So
No,
if
no,
you
no,
guys,
square footage, it's based on square footage, not based on tenants.
yeah, but if I have a busier business than another tenant, I have more traffic coming in and out. So that's just a very general figure that's not written in stone and has not been surveyed in practicality or reality. These are numbers that are hypothetical at this point. So if you have a business that's very busy and you have 15 trucks coming in, 15 trucks coming out, and the next tenant's got 25 trucks coming in and out, and then you rent it out to a third tenant, and they have 50 trucks coming in and out, well, that number gets thrown out the window. So we have to take that into consideration.
The numbers are easily projected. We take the most conservative numbers for the building, and those are what we present. I think that discussing if we maybe begin with the discussion on the intersection improvements and see how the board feels, give us an opportunity to respond to what you're looking for, and then maybe we can move on to that portion.
Okay, thank you.
Before we go to Mr. Taylor, a couple of other things. Could you place on the record the earthwork calculations that were requested of you?
Absolutely. So we did a quick earthwork calculation for phase 1 and phase 2. As phase 1 is built, there's approximately 32,000 cubic yards of fill required for phase 1. If phase 2 is built without phase 1, if phase 2 is just built on day 1, it'd be about 31,000 cubic yards of fill, which is very similar to the phase 1. So I believe the ordinance requires that we do make note of that, so it is 32,000 under phase 1, 31,000 under phase 2 of fill.
Do they need a variance for that?
That requires a planning board approval, not a variance, because they need your approval.
Okay.
Would the truck traffic associated with the soil import follow the same process you're talking about for the ultimate fit out of the building?
In terms of truck
Right
entering
now.
and exiting the site?
Yeah.
I would expect they would come from 195 right onto Burn Tavern Road and exit right back onto 195. I believe the ordinance requires that we do present truck circulation and planning exhibit to the township, so that's certainly something the applicant would provide when they submit the soil permit.
Okay. So Matt, my only thought on that is when they present that, but for a truck importing soil from a mine in Millstone, certainly like to see it arriving from 537 onto Burnt Tavern.
I believe by the time they start, we have no mines left in town, they're all
Yeah,
done.
is that it?
No, they're all done.
Okay, that's good.
Is that right?
Yep.
It's 3,000 trucks.
We have one left that's
One left,
pretty much
it's
done.
almost done.
Wow.
Stavola's closed, Campo's closed, Boxstein's way out, Preston, this is the last year.
The other question, if you could, we received an environmental commission letter that came out just after the February meeting. If you could share the contents of that with the board.
Absolutely. A few days after we met here on February 8th, the Environmental Commission met. They reviewed the soil testing results that we provided to them. They have no further comment. They did approve the project, so I believe that does satisfy one of the comments that came out of the last meeting. And then finally, just wanted to quickly show the last exhibit under my testimony, which is the overall residential setback exhibit prepared by Dynamic Engineering Consultants dated March 7th, 2023. I believe this is exhibit A42. So what we did, obviously there's one variance required for this project, and it's related to the residential setback that the ordinance requires. The ordinance requires that our primary building be set back 300 feet from any residential use. So what we did was we prepared this aerial exhibit showing the proposed development with some of the adjacent existing uses. There's really only 2 residential uses within the immediate vicinity of our property. North is on the right side, is pointing to the right side of the page. So our development is right in the middle of Exhibit A42. The first question that came up at the last hearing was the affordable housing project immediately to the north of our site. They actually don't own the immediate adjacent property to the subject property. There's actually a small strip of land that's owned and controlled by the larger farm to the rear of our site. Even then, we did take a look and we surveyed that property. We identified their property lines, and we provided dimensions on Exhibit A42 that show the dimensions first from our building to their property line and from our building to their building. So from our building to their building, of the closest affordable housing building, is 334 feet. And then from our building to their closest property line is 303.3 feet. So as I mentioned, the ordinance requires a 300-foot setback for the building, so that this project complies completely with the affordable housing development. And then the second and final residential use nearest to us is the quasi-residential use across the street from Burn Tavern Road that we all talked about last time. There's landscaping trucks, RVs, construction containers on that property, but we do recognize there is technically a residential use or dwelling on that site. So we took a look at that site and we measured from our building to their property line and from our building to their building, similar to how I just described the affordable housing site. From our building to their property line is about 126.4 feet. And then from our building to their building, it's 276 feet. So that truly is the variance that we need for this. If you interpret the ordinance to require our building to be set back from their property line, the variance would be 126 feet, whereas 300 feet is required. And as you'll hear from Ms. Coffin, our planner, she'll talk about some of the improvements that we're doing in front of the site and how it mitigates some of the negative impacts that could be assumed for not meeting that setback requirement. But I just wanted to explain Exhibit A42. It'll be presented again through Ms. Coffin's testimony. And that's really it from my last visit up.
I think that the balance of your testimony was not questioned and was complete. Before you leave your feet, I would ask if the chairman or any member of the board has any questions of Mr. Muller.
I think it sounds like the bulk of the questions will be either at the time of the planning testimony or at the time of your traffic consultant's testimony. But if it's anticipating that concludes this witness, I did want to reopen it back up to the public for
Can I
any
ask a
questions.
question?
Oh, of course, yeah, sorry, I didn't see it.
So, those numbers are a little different than what you gave us last time, and actually what even the plan showed that we have the overall site plan. The distance from the residence across Burn Tavern Road on this plan shows 78.6 feet, and then the distance from the Monmouth Housing Alliance shows 253.3 feet.
Yep, I'm just going to pull up Exhibit.
It's the overall site plan, phase 1 is what I have.
Yep. Exhibit A31 is the overall site plan rendering for Phase 1. So I believe the dimensions you're reading are from our building to our property line. So that's the setback of the building. To the front corner of the building to the front property line is 77.2 feet, and that's our side of the right-of-way. The ordinance requires that we are set back from residential uses. So the measurements that I just read based on the residential setback exhibit is based on their property line, which is across the street, obviously. So that's why there's a little bit of a difference there.
Okay.
And if you indicated that you had surveyed the property to me, would you share that you actually sent your survey crew to the field to make
Yep.
certain that the numbers that you're sharing with the board are accurate and based on survey data?
Yep, we surveyed the right-of-way of Burnt Tavern Road, we surveyed the adjacent property lines, so the dimensions that we just illustrated are surveyed.
So what was to the residents across Burnt Tavern Road again? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Was,
Is that lot 904, 9.04?
Yeah,
Yeah.
tax lot 9.04, which is the small residential use across Burnt Tavern Road. The closest setback from our building to their property line is 126.4 feet.
thank you.
And for the record, that is also known as 30 Burnt Tavern Road.
And Danielle, do you have the calculation of how far it is from the property line? 30 Burnt Tavern Road to the,
I believe that's the one Mr. Mueller was just saying there. It was 126.4, you said?
Correct.
so that would be the only required variance?
That's
The
building,
house,
that's
yeah.
building to building.
Correct. So that would be a variance.
No, that's
Building-
that's
No,
building.
building to property
way,
line.
so
Building to building is
Either way, right?
267.
It's
That's-
building to
that's the
property
variance
line.
that you need.
It's
It's
276.
Building to property line.
Building
need
property line.
107.
They need 107, I think that's what he testified, right? Isn't that what you
Yeah.
just said?
We,
No.
Yeah, if you measure it from building to property line, we are proposing 126.4 feet, whereas 300 feet would be required. The ordinance isn't very clear on whether it's measured building to building or building to property line, so we're being ultra conservative and measuring to their property line. If you interpret it as measuring it from building to building, it's 276 feet, so we're just shy of that 300 feet building to building.
So either way, you would need a variance.
Correct.
There's
Yes.
variance
It's just the
required.
magnitude of the variance varies
Correct.
based on your interpretation.
And the aerial photographs, which are before you, if you look at them carefully, you'll see that the property owner has a number of containers and a number of trucks and quite a bit of what appears to either be lawn or construction equipment on that property. So we're not quite sure what's going on. And he also has constructed a fairly substantial berm around his property. I think he might not want us to know what's going on in there. So,
And just real quick for the record, it should be noted that is the HC zone. It's non-permitted use in that zone. So it's not a residential zone. It just happens to be a residential use
In the highway.
in the highway commercial zone.
All of which will be the
So your
responsibility of.
planner will go through the
Yes.
minutia of those terms and at least her opinion as to how we should view them?
Yes, sir. Then, with permission, we,
One
No.
more thing.
sure.
Go ahead.
Are we gonna address Shade Tree Commission's report? You talked-
The February 10th Shade Tree Commission, which makes 3 points, we had an opportunity to review earlier this evening, and they're technical in nature. We have no issue at all with full compliance with the 3.
They're asking for tree survey of the property to be shown on your existing condition plan. You'll be doing that?
Yes.
Is there anything in the environmental species report?
Just said,
Everything's
no further
satisfied.
issues.
Mr. Lawyer, I have a question. At the February 8th meeting, somebody had asked you about irrigation, but I have a specific question regarding irrigation and the landscaping plan for the berm. Is it your intention to irrigate the berm? So this way, any vegetation that you put on there will be
Yes.
maintained?
Yes.
And what's the contingency plan if something should die,
It's bonded, it has to be replaced.
within a reasonable amount of time?
Well,
and-
you hold the performance bond until all work is done to the satisfaction of Mr. Shafai, and then we give you a maintenance bond that's typically in Millstone for 30 months, not 24 months, because that's, so you've got, after the project is 100% finished and the bonds are returned and we're on maintenance, we've got another 2.5 years with
I
it.
totally understand that. My question is,
What is it?
post that, when shrubbery dies and now nobody's taking care of the berm and it's starting to look ugly, what do we do about that? So that's what I'm asking about, a landscaping plan subsequent to that maintenance plan expiring and you getting your money back. Now, fast forward 3, 4, 5 years in the future, what happens if the vegetation dies? How long is it going to take to have somebody replace it? maintain it? Is the grass going to grow too high? So we just want to make sure that it's going to be maintained, and as shrubbery dies, which, you know, is going to be expected, what's the time frame to replace it? And if it doesn't, there needs to be an enforcement piece put in that if the owner or the tenant does not do that, then it could be subject to violation.
I think I've not ever been asked that question before, but I think that the answer is when your developer's agreement is crafted by the township attorney, that you acknowledge that as a special condition.
It becomes a violation and
Yeah.
code enforcement can
Yeah.
issue a violation.
Okay.
And it can be in the developer's agreement. The developer's agreement gets recorded.
We can make that a condition of approval.
Yeah, I think Mike's writing as fast as he can.
Slow it down. I'll slow it down if you
You switch to your right hand, you can go faster. So,
You need 2 pens.
there you go. Well, Danielle's also keeping notes, so we're okay.
And then,
So, I was gonna- unless there's any other questions, let's open it.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right, that's why we're here.
Again, at the February 8th meeting, and I reviewed it several times, nobody asked any questions about generators. Is it in the plan to install generators or anything, you know, to maintain electrical power during outages? And did anybody address it? Because I didn't hear anything about that in the prior meeting.
The architect will talk about the ancillary structures. There is a water tower,
That I knew about.
and there's a pump, and the pump requires a generator.
Yeah, but how big is it gonna be, just for the pump, for the water, or is it gonna be for the building? And then the other question I had was, you claimed that the structure was gonna be so many thousands of feet with a 6,000 foot office.
Correct.
Now, is that for one tenant? Is that 6,000, square foot office for 2 tenants, or is it for 3 tenants? Or how is that gonna be divided up as you rent out to the various tenants?
We'll have the architect go through his floor plan.
Okay.
So at this point, I'd like to open it up to any members of the public that have any questions for this witness based upon his testimony that we've heard this evening, understanding that there are additional witnesses to come that'll be talking about the intersection comments that we had, as well as planning and architecture. Seeing no members of the public coming forward at this time, we will continue with your next witness.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Justin Taylor, who was qualified as an engineer with an area of expertise in traffic, accepted as an expert, and is under oath. Mr. Taylor will remind you that you continue to be under oath. Ask if you would, I think it's best to say, begin where we left off, share with the board your understanding of your responsibilities and what you have done since we were last here.
Mr. Taylor, begin with your name and address again and your recognition that you understand you're still under oath.
Yes, Justin Taylor, Taylor. Business address is 1904 Main Street, Lake Como, New Jersey, and I am still under oath.
Thank you.
So you've heard some testimony from Mr. Mueller. I thought, had a clear understanding and a great discussion with the board the last time we were here about where the concerns were, where the trucks wanted to go, and where you as a board wanted to keep them from going. So our responsibility in the intervening time was to take a look at how do we accommodate that. This is something that we can actually feasibly take care of. So we took a hard look at the intersection of Burnt Tavern Road and County Route 537 to accommodate the tractor trailers that need to come in and come out. We prepared Exhibit 840, which has been submitted to the board. But what we did here was pull in the survey data that we had for the property. We pulled in current aerial imagery, and then we utilized turning templates for the WB67, the 53-foot trailer, the largest tractor trailers that are out there today. And we ran them through all 4 turning movements to and from Burnt Tavern Road to figure out whether there are constraints, if there's pinch points, what we needed to be able to do. We were also cognizant of the existing development that's out there today. Peterbilt is on the, we'll call it the southwest corner of that intersection. The plan left in talking about A40 In their front yard, they have a detention basin. There's also utility lines that run along the western side of Burnt Tavern Road and the western side of County Route 537. All constraints that if we can avoid, we were looking to avoid. So the first maneuver we looked at was coming south on Burnt Tavern Road, turning right onto 537, trying to go to 195. What we identified is it is possible, but it was tight. And looking at the constraints that I just mentioned with the detention basin and the utility poles, we took another look at what could we do to actually make that turn a little bit easier. And what we figured out was that if we pulled everything to the north on Burnt Tavern, pushed them a little further towards the Leibowitz property that we've been discussing, we can widen that southbound lane, give them a little bit more room, move the center line over, so the truck's starting at a further point in the middle of the road, which then allows them an easier right turn maneuver. So that's where we started. We started with that right turn. Then we began to pull everything to the north across to the other side of Burnt Tavern Road. We took a look at what the left turn in vehicle would be able to do so that he could make that swing if there was another truck or a car staged at the stop bar on Burnt Tavern Road. We wanted to ensure that he could make that maneuver safely and efficiently, whatever type of traffic is on Burnt Tavern Road. So we designed that left turn in. And then we took a look. We don't anticipate a lot of tractor trailers coming down 537. You know, if they're coming from Freehold, they're off of Route 9, there's a potential, but it's not really the truck route that we're anticipating because 195 is right here. But we wanted to make sure that they could make that maneuver too. Again, if there were vehicles staged on Burnt Tavern waiting to exit, how do we accomplish that turning maneuver? So what's highlighted in A40 is in the northwest corner, we needed to improve the radius. We needed to give them a little bit more room in there and allow the rear tires to track from the trailer around the corner and then up Burnt Tavern Road. So what's highlighted in green is a roadway widening we would propose to accommodate that maneuver. It would encompass pushing the radius further east of the Leibowitz property. As Mr. Mayor, you acknowledged, it is private property. We will have to engage them if the township's Green Acres plan is not going into effect. We were going to have to purchase that property to accomplish this improvement. But I think it's something that the applicant's willing to do depending on how the timing works, whether it's us doing that, whether it's something that comes out of the Green Acres project. We did also ensure, and Mr. Mueller alluded to it, we got the plan from Mr. Shafai of what was being reserved. We wanted to stay within the lines that are out there today. We wanted to make sure that nothing that we were proposing was going to impact any of the Green Acres that's being dedicated. And we very clearly show on this plan, this dark line shows the approximate location of that reservation that the town has. So all these improvements in this corner are outside of that area. I would also note on A40 that the sign for Greenleaf is shown on the plan. It's located just outside of the green area. And why I want to highlight that is if the county plan hasn't come through, if they haven't moved the sign, if they haven't been required to move the sign, these improvements aren't going to impact that sign either. So this will fit within whatever the improvements that the county is looking to do and the dedication and the plan to move that sign as part of that if the county needs the property on the western side of 537. So based on all this, it's our proposal that the improvements shown here are accomplishable. We're going to have to get permission from the county because it is their intersection. But I don't think this in any way jeopardizes the improvements that they're contemplating with the division eventually of 537. So I think it's something that we could go out there with their permission and do today as this warehouse is getting built to be able to accommodate the traffic that we would propose for the warehouse. Just to go back to Mr. Muller's.
Can we stop here one second?
Sure.
Okay. The way I look at this, you have to make a left from 537 to Tavern Road, Burnt Tavern Road, regardless, every time you're coming in, right?
So the
Unless you're coming from Freehold, which is not really the route anybody's gonna come from, the majority is coming from.
that's correct. The tractor trailers, we anticipate all coming
So
from the
that left
195.
is necessary, that's the major focal of the traffic that's gonna come. Most of the traffic is gonna make a left on Tavern Road to Boyce.
The tractor trailers, yes. And in the reverse, that's where they're looking to go to, too. They're trying to get back to the
That's the
interstate
right.
roadway
They
network.
come
It's the
out
left
the right.
in and the right out, that's correct. Referring back to A39, just to touch briefly on the modifications to the driveway. Again, we heard the concerns about the trucks traveling north and coming into Millstone and up Millstone Road out to 571. So what we did is work hand in hand with Mr. Muller to design this driveway so that you prohibit those trucks from going that direction. So we're going to channelize the right, we're going to provide a nice, smooth, sweeping radius for them to be able to come out, staying within their lane, and to safely egress the site. We had left a 10-foot radius on that, on the chance that we want to allow passenger vehicles to go in that direction. But hearing the mayor's concern, we have the ability to further channelize that and make it really a right out only. Continue the radius on the northern side of the driveway so that even if there is a little bit of traffic on Bird Tavern, you don't have the ability to make that right out. And that forces everybody down that direction. If that's a concern, I think that's something we can easily accomplish so that you don't have the trucks, even if they want to ignore all the signage and the striping, by instituting that radius, we can start to then make it physically impossible for them to make that left out.
So on the same token, on the northbound driveway, can we make that left only? Make it a one-way in, not bi-directional? That would prevent traffic from making a left onto Burn Tavern if it's a one-way in.
So we had left this as full movement, and the thought process behind that is you have residents. You may have residents of Millstone for the employees, right? The tractor trailers, we're pushing them all to 195. But if you're an employee and you live to the northwest of here, you don't really want to have to go out to 537 to get to and from the site.
That's a good point, Mr. Taylor, and I understand Mrs. Reiner's point as well. Now, given what you just said, I do agree with you. Given the 60 spaces that are available, at 60 potential employees, let's say, or people that are at that facility that are leaving, this is a 24-hour operation, so we're going to have a lot of traffic. Most of the people being employed, let's say, hypothetically, are going to be coming from the Millstone and/or Freehold area. So they're going to want to make a right out of there, a left out of there to go to, like Mr. Ziner said, out Burke Turner Road to Millstone Road. However, in your testimony, okay, would you feel comfortable having 60 vehicles go out to the present intersection that we have right now at Burnt Tavern Road?
So I think what we need to look at is not necessarily it's fully 60 vehicles. I do believe that there is sufficient sight distances at the existing intersection. Is the alignment ideal? No, it is not.
Right.
But is it
Our
safe?
concern that it's not safe for all parties.
And I guess
We're gonna have a lot more traffic on that road. It backs up, and coming out to Burnt Tavern Road at that present intersection is going to be a major, major problem. That's why I kind of like the idea, if you're gonna go that route, is to make the improvement like you originally wanted to, which I think was a valid improvement, a very valid improvement that needs to be done to make this whole site work properly. So not only do we have to have the improvement on 537, ideally, we also need the improvement on the opposite end.
Trucks will have an option, go north or south.
Well, no, I'm talking, the trucks have to go to
You don't want
537.
the trucks go to.
No, I'm just talking about
Just
the
regular.
car traffic that's gonna be generated from the site from just employees. Because I'm willing to bet 95% of those cars are gonna wanna go that way and not onto 195 and make U-turns and everything else. They're gonna wanna go that way.
Of course.
So I think that my statement is, I think we need improvements to both areas.
So when we look at the traffic analysis, we look at distributions, we look at population centers of where we might be drawing employees from. Based upon our distribution, our mapping, what we anticipate is about 20 to 30% of the traffic up in this direction. Some of it's coming down from New Egypt, right? Some of it's coming from Freehold. Some of it's coming from those areas.
Agreed.
As we distribute. So if we're talking in an hour, right, in the busiest hour of the site, 20% coming from that direction, you're talking about 5 or 6 cars. We're not talking about a lot of volume. We're talking about a car every 10 minutes. And personally, I don't think that that's a significant impact to the operation of that intersection.
Wait a minute, not a car every 10 minutes. They go to work at a certain time. So they're all gonna come in at a certain time. And they all come out of the building
So
at a certain time.
that's actually not true. I understand the misconception, but we're talking about a warehouse. You have warehouse employees coming in at certain times. You have office employees coming in at certain times. You have the general cleaning people that are coming in at certain times. So it's not as concentrated as just that one time. The other thing to keep in mind is there's a potential for 2 or 3 tenants here. And not every operation is running the same shifts in the same hours. So what we look at when we talk about traffic impact, we look at the peak hour, right? The peak hour trip generation. And this site is projected to generate, based upon the ITE trip generation manual, of a total of 43 peak hour trips. So even if we were going to say that everyone's coming in together, we're still talking about 43 peak hour trips. Okay? Of that, we project about 6 or 7 being trucks and the remainder being passenger vehicles, between 35 and 40. So when we talk about a significant impact, the NJDOT and the Institute of Transportation Engineers have set a threshold of 100 new peak hour trips to be significant. That's when DOT makes you study various intersections. Once you go above that threshold, that's also what the ITE says of when you should start to potentially look at an intersection for impact. 100 new peak hour trips. So the site is going to generate half of that, and then that's also distributed out to the other roadways. So I really don't see the harm in allowing this to be full movement. I don't think that the 5 or 6 cars, even if they're in a small window, are going to be an impact to that intersection that you're really going to notice. And I think the institution of the trucks all traveling south takes that other impact out. Now you're not waiting for a tractor trailer up at 571 and Burn Tavern, because we're funneling them back down to 537.
You said it was a 30% of the 60 spots in a given time period?
No. What we project based upon population centers and census information is approximately 30% of the traffic is going to be, from an employee standpoint, is going to be coming from the north and west, from 571, from Millstone and from other points in that direction.
So 30% of 60 spots is 18 cars, not 6.
But it's not 60 spots. What we're talking about is the trip generation projected for the site. So 43 trips,
So
30% of that is going to be down at that 6 to 8. Yes.
30% of 43 is about 12, isn't it?
So we have 20. We can drill down a little bit further, right? But we have 37 passenger vehicles, right? 20% of them we project to be in that direction. So when we pull up, so we have 9, excuse me. You have 9 coming in and 8 going out in that direction through those.
Based on that 30%?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you have like 15, 20 cars at any given moment, why do we need 60 spots?
A portion of that is to meet the ordinance. A portion of that is just for flexibility of what's coming in and out here. There may be, throughout the day, you have shift turn, right? I mean, we're 24/7, so there's the potential that you need additional spaces to accommodate and continuous shift work. So And again, what we're talking about is the peak hour volumes, right? Again, not everybody comes in during that 1 hour, right? I love to give the example, my wife and I work, but we don't leave within the same hour. So there's 2 cars leaving, but from a trip generation perspective, only 1 car is coming out of my driveway during the peak hour.
No, but they multiply use variance or permitted use.
So,
I
I want to just for a second explore the intersection that you're explaining doesn't need to be improved, which is the intersection of Burn Tavern and 571. Understanding your rationale for not improving it the way you had originally proposed, because you took our suggestion to heart and said we don't want any trucks going there. So I personally appreciate the fact that you've regrouped and changed your entire strategy to satisfy that concern. So I was very personally concerned, and I think the board was concerned, that once you start inviting the trucks to go into Millstone, you invite further intrusion to perhaps say, well, geez, I can get to exit 8 from the turnpike and save 20 cents on the toll rather than go and exit 7A. Maybe no one would ever think like that, but if I can make it up, someone can think of it. But after all that thank yous, is there something that can be done in at least some modified or minor adjustment to that intersection? Not for trucks, but to improve a turning radius, to improve a sight distance. We all navigate, we as Millstoners all navigate that intersection, and we do it successfully. We have to look 10 times and then hit the gas. But is there another slight modification or something to skin that cat to make it a little better? Understanding it, as you said, is not a major impact from your proposal.
It ideally needs to be a true T.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. That's my question. Is there something that you can suggest? Right now, it looks like the cars have built that intersection by just driving certain ways. I don't know that anyone ever really designed it.
And they're coming down Millstone Road south 45 to 50 miles an hour
Yeah.
over that little car-stabbing hill.
Yes.
It's very dangerous.
Justin, I'm going to ask that you respond to the chairman, but before we go too much further, I'm going to ask for a 5-minute recess, but I think beginning the response would be
This is at the beginning.
the appropriate.
Sure. Now referring to A33, which we introduced at the last hearing, showing the improvements that were previously proposed for the site. The issue with starting improvements at this intersection is I think they very quickly snowball into the whole intersection needing to be done. A portion of the issue is the location of where it is and the horizontal curve in 571. The other portion is the angle that you come off at. You know, I've done it myself. It's very easy to take that turn at a higher rate of speed than you're supposed to be doing. But in order to fix that, then you need to begin to pull the roadway away from its current alignment. And in speaking with the county, as soon as you start doing that, they're going to start to look to have it aligned with Squan on the other side of the road. And then when you're starting to do that, they had asked us to look at those left turn lanes. And so without a bunch more of analysis, I don't see a quick, easy fix to this intersection that's not going to very quickly slide into the entire improvement, unfortunately.
Okay. And that was exactly my question. Is there some modest modification that, and I understand your point, that you start touching it, you bought the whole thing. But it's just such a weird intersection that I was wondering, you know, sometimes maybe when you stripe something, when you actually add a curb, when you all of a sudden.
Whether it's 1 or 2 cars hitting that intersection, it's just another problematic issue. 1, 2 car too many.
So Ken, you had suggested that after my comment and the response, you wanted to take a break? Is
I
that-
do want to speak with Mr. Taylor and with Mr. Newman. It's not inappropriate, we could have I say 5 minutes, I'll try to do it in 5.
Sounds good. Unless there's any objections, let's go ahead and take
Call
that
it the
break.
Angela break.
Yeah, I was gonna leave that joke alone.
Talk too quickly, I know she needs the break.
I have to make, like, for me to pass, I have to make.
Can we,
like that,
can we,
and then
make
they-
a discussion amongst ourselves or not?
I went like this.
Great.
It was even worse before.
I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter and make believe it came from you. I'm gonna write words so sweet, they're gonna knock me off of my feet. A lot of kisses on the bottom, I'll be glad I got 'em. I'm gonna smile and say, I hope you're feeling better. I'll close with love the way you do. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter, and I'm gonna make believe it came from you. Oh yeah. I'm gonna write words oh so sweet, they're gonna knock me off of my feet. A lot of kisses on the bottom, I'll be glad I got 'em. Oh yeah. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter, and I'm gonna make believe it came from you. Oh yeah, gonna make believe it came from you. Oh yeah. may find. In the year 35, ain't gonna need to tell the truth, tell no lies. Everything you think, do, and say is in the pill you took today. In the year 45, ain't gonna need your teeth, won't need your eyes. You won't find a thing to chew, nobody's gonna look at you. In the year 55, your arms are hanging limp at your sides. Your legs got nothing to do, some machine doing that for you. In the year 65, ain't gonna need no husband, won't need no wife. You pick your son, pick your daughter too, from the bottom of a long glass tube. Whoa, whoa.
Danielle, ready?
Speak, sorry, to make sure.
Are we ready to go?
We are.
Okay. All right, we are back on the record.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity to take a brief recess. During the recess, the applicant, who's also he's your applicant and property owner, together with Justin, reviewed that intersection, and I think that there is a program that is, will create some improvements that is not this full-blown program that we are prepared to offer to the planning board. And with that, I would ask Justin if you could take us through the design, the concept.
Sure. After taking a hard look at what's out there in the available pavement area, I think what we probably can do is to tighten up the northwest radius, essentially eliminating the little slip ramp that's there, putting a more conventional, potentially 25-foot radius to force the vehicles traveling south on Trenton Lakewood to make a right turn, as opposed to flying off of the roadway at a higher rate of speed. It'll also allow us to give a better sight line as we correct that stop bar for the people that are coming north on Burnt Tavern that want to most likely make a left. The rights coming out of there are very minimal, but it'll allow them to stage and give potentially better sight lines for that, for those turning maneuvers. And I think it's something we can accomplish within the existing paved area. It won't trigger any type of environmental constraints. It will require county approval, and we'll have to go back to them with what we're looking. But I do think it's something that they can get behind and that we could do that'll at least give a little bit of improvement to that existing intersection.
So are you saying, Mr. Taylor, that it would line up the way it's designed here?
No. What we would look to do is keep the same alignment of the roadway. And then in this northwest corner, right now, it's a very big sweeping radius.
Correct.
And that allows the high rate of speed.
Correct.
What we would do is eliminate that sweeping radius and essentially
Take out the whole slip ramp.
turn it into a T intersection, something like that. So it's tough to see on here because I just drew in blue, but it's going to make it more of a T as opposed to a slip ramp and another approach. So right now,
They would
Prevent a
overshoot that and make like a right turn?
that's correct. That's correct.
Okay, and where would that right turn be?
That right turn would be in the approximate location of where that dirt island is now.
Right, okay,
So
so,
you're going between the two roads.
Yeah, so right now when you come up there, if you want to make a left, you go to the left of that little island.
And then
Right?
you-
It feels a little even uncomfortable
Yeah, yes,
almost.
yeah.
And then if you want to make a right, you're
You
to
make
the
that-
right of it. What we're going to do is take everybody that's coming up Burnt Tavern
to that right?
to the right of that. You're stopping perpendicular to 571,
Okay.
and then you make the left or the right. And what that'll allow us to do is to pull the northwest radius much further to the south. And you'll be able to put a radius in so you can't travel at a high rate of speed off of,
You have to slow down to make
you have to
the
slow
right.
down to make the right, correct.
And the people coming out have to stop on that right side to make a left or.
That's correct, that's correct.
Basically, they're getting rid of the ramp.
Yes, And I think that that's achievable within the paved areas that we have without too much impact to what's out there. And I think most likely the county will allow us to do that sort of improvement without pushing us to do the rest of this.
So they're gonna put like a stop sign?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a stop sign there that we will potentially relocate, but there'll be a stop sign as you travel north on Burt Tavern.
Would you have,
And maybe an arrow just to force everybody that way, right?
You don't
At the
need an
beginning.
arrow.
No, you don't.
You don't need one.
you'd actually,
Oh, you-
I think you'd have a right turn and a left turn lane.
We'd have to look. I don't know if there's enough area there to have separate left and rights. If there is, obviously, we'll do it. But I don't believe once we pull the northwest radius down that
Like the first time.
that you're going to have enough room.
For those who remember the mid-1990s, this is almost exactly the same thing that we did when 526 used to come out on the 571 as a slip ramp.
Yes.
We cut it off and we bent it and we brought it so that it just came right, just like this, and that's what you have now. So I think that's a good
It
visual.
became a true T.
It's a good visual, that's what we're talking about.
Okay, well, that certainly sounds favorable to me, combined with the first thought of forcing the trucks to go to 537, and I do like the idea of tightening up that right out only opportunity for the trucks at your southern exit.
Yep. And that's fine. What that allows us to do, if we go back to Exhibit A39, we'll tighten that up. And what that will do is, if you're the resident of Millstone and you work here, you know you come out the north driveway in your passenger vehicle and go that direction. So this driveway doesn't need to allow the left out. We can fully channelize it to a right out only.
Right, which is what Mr. Muller was saying before, force them, the
Yep.
truckers.
That's correct.
To right out only, and agree, I agree with you, Mitch. I think
Yeah,
that would be the best
I think
scenario.
there sounds like there's some value here.
If I could attempt to summarize the offer of your applicant is the improvements at 537 and Burnt Tavern, as they were described earlier, the radius improvements at that intersection, the channelizing of the driveway on the southern side of our site so that truck movements have no choice but to go in that direction, to make and then to add the improvements at the details will have to be worked out with your engineer and the county engineer, but to create a true 90-degree intersection of Burnt Tavern coming out onto Trenton Lakewood Road. That's the sum of the road improvements that the applicant has placed before you, which is the offer.
Right, and we're gonna keep the vegetation low for line of sight.
Well, yes, the site triangle is the 30-inch site triangle, 30-inch height site triangle. Yeah.
So, and I think you talked about this earlier, but to control your internal traffic, you'll have satisfactory signage to make sure the trucks clearly know they only got one way to go.
Yes.
We did that. Let's put it on the record now again.
And one of the way we control that is the one-way counterclockwise circulation through the site.
Okay.
Is as the trucks come in, they're going to be coming in from 537. This is the southern driveway is egress only. As they enter the site, they will travel circulating around the building in a counterclockwise direction into the loading docks. They're then forced to leave, continuing that counterclockwise movement, and as they come down to 537 with the driveway modifications, they'll be forced to the right back down to.
Well, how are you gonna enforce it so they don't go left and go back up that double-way egress?
We have striping and signage that will be at the western portion of the building at the loading dock area. It's also an educational thing. We're talking about tenants are going to come in, their truck drivers are going to know you go one way around the building. It's the direction, we talked about this a little bit the last time, it's the direction they want to go anyway, because it leaves them backing into their spaces on the driver's side. So it's a typical layout in a warehouse development to have that one-way circulation.
It's signage and striping.
So
And Title 39. You know, we would put, Title 39 is where the police are permitted to enter the property to enforce all of what we're offering to you.
So the parking lot, this housing the cars for the tenants, they go in and out, so the piece, that small piece in the front on the left, like, yeah, this way, where the cars are gonna go in and out. This is
That's
the
right.
only way, so the cars don't go in the back, everything is circulating that way, and everything coming out of the parking lot, so it's two-way at the front, and then after that, it's just one way.
That's correct. From the point just west of the passenger vehicle parking area, it was one way from there on.
From that one.
Yep.
Okay.
I would ask if that satisfies the board, that is your applicant's offer of road improvements.
From my perspective, you've adequately addressed our concerns in a number of respects, so.
I'd be very interested in making sure that we've earned that from everyone.
Okay.
Will he go back to the county, get all these things squared away with them?
Have to?
And are you gonna revise your traffic report? Because that one doesn't talk about anything we talked about here. I'm just curious what the level of service will be at Burn Tavern Road 537, before and after.
So we haven't looked at that. I would typically, again, going back to the 100 trip threshold that the DOT and the ITE have set forth, we're not putting 100 trips through any of these intersections. So I don't think that the capacity analyses are necessary for the county to review. It's not something they asked us for in any one of these analysis points or the meetings we've had with them. So I wouldn't necessarily anticipate updating the traffic study.
Well, you have level of service for Burn Tavern Road,
So they're
Turn
only
Lakewood
looking-
Road, which is A, B, C's or whatever. What would it be at Burn Tavern on 537?
Honestly, we haven't collected the traffic data there to conduct those.
Just want to let you know, it's going to be a,
I'm not
probably
saying
F.
you're wrong.
It's probably F right now, will continue being F intersection.
I don't think anybody heard you. Can you repeat that?
The intersection of 537 and Burn Tavern Road, we don't have any traffic report on it. But there's a lot of delays there, and delay means it's a F intersection, I believe?
I mean, so an F
Or
is,
it's a D right now, it'll become F, that's why I don't know what's gonna happen there.
so again, we haven't collected the traffic data there to conduct those analyses.
But more than likely,
Given the handful of cars, even though, and the tractor trailers we're sending through it, the impact is going to be modest.
It's a bad
Everybody's gonna be
intersection.
coming from 537, making a left to go in.
Correct.
Well,
Or 95% of it, let's put it that way.
The trucks, yes, but I mean, again, we're talking about a handful of trucks in an hour.
well, it's not only that traffic. What happens during the summer is that everybody cuts the exit off the turnpike. They come through Millstone to hit the Great Adventure. They come flying down Millstone Road
Disagree.
onto the ramp of Burnt Tavern, and then they're trying to make, the same right that you're gonna try to make onto 537. The summer traffic there is horrendous.
Also, Mr. Taylor, off-peak hours on a, day during the week, I come up that way all the time. Up 195 and coming up 537 towards Freehold, going east. And I regularly make that left turn, and there's no way that I can just make that left seamlessly. I always have to stop, and I have to wait a good amount of time, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So I bring that up just to, support Mr. Shafai's request that needs to be done at that intersection, because now we're going to introduce these trucks, and it's going to back up that intersection even more.
I
That's
just
all.
want to let the board
Right,
know,
right.
I know this is our preferred route, but it's going to become a very slower intersection.
Correct.
And
Well,
until the
but
county
just-
makes their improvements.
take it to the next step. Okay, so let's say, hey, let's abandon everything we've talked about for the past two meetings and bring them to the traffic light. Same topic, they're just backing up at the traffic light, and now, quite frankly, to use, now we've screwed up that signalized intersection.
That's not, it's signalized over there, was it? What about that four-way intersection?
I'm talking about the intersection of 537 and 571.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, now, because by saying you can't make a left into Burnt Tavern, you're just saying, okay, trucks, you'll deal
over
with
there
it
and make a
over
left,
there,
yeah.
and we'll invite you into a piece of Millstone, and hope you don't miss your left-hand
I
turn into
totally
Burnt
understand, just
Tavern.
want to make sure you know that intersection is going to be a very slow intersection, don't go there anymore.
Well, our neighbor is a trucking facility that has been there for some 40 years, and they actually have a considerable amount of traffic in and out. Those are trucks that are coming in all day long for service.
Right, but no trailers attached.
No, but it's still large trucks. Well, no, I don't see any with trailers, but you see tractors and you see tandems. So
Right,
But
but, and they're very close to 537, in and out, you know, they.
Well, it's just, I'm just making the point that that intersection currently is serving trucks. That, and has been for, I don't know, 40 years, that facility's been
Potato,
there.
is there a big difference
you
driving a
have- you have the
tractor
credit,
and a
don't you?
tractor and trailer?
Traffic. You have the
Mayor, I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just pointing out that the intersection handles trucks currently, and it has a substantial volume.
Just to make that left is over the
So if
problem.
we're sending a trucks toward
Okay.
537,
Okay. I mean,
what's gonna happen to my pinch improvement in the middle?
I don't think
Is that still being done?
No, I don't think it's.
Maybe not 27 feet, maybe 24, because right now it's only 20 feet or less.
So, once we eliminate the truck traffic through that horizontal curve, it's no longer necessary to improve the width to handle 2 passenger vehicles. I know we will still be required to widen along our entire frontage, and we'll end up tapering back to where it would meet the existing conditions. But this horizontal curve modification just isn't necessary to accommodate the passenger vehicles.
You know how wide that is, their road there?
20 feet.
About 20 feet in certain spots.
So maybe even less.
Mhm.
And most of the asphalt is gone already, so, on the sides.
So where we went through and measured,
How wide is the road from your property to 537? Do you have that information?
Right now it's the same thing, it's 20, 22 maybe.
It's narrow, there's hills, there's little hills there.
Also, Matt, didn't you say at the last meeting that there was required to do bore testing into the center?
Well, if there's no truck going on that side, trucks are going toward
Right.
537.
Yeah, but weren't they supposed to take bore samples to see?
Well, that's something that we talked about, the road improvement, that will be our next topic, I think.
I did do my homework.
If you started with that.
The whole road needs to be
Yeah,
reevaluated.
it's this much.
You're probably right, yeah.
If
If that, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably mostly dirt.
Over the years, it's peeled off.
based on the information I have, you're anywhere between 20 and 25 feet as you head south.
I know there are some narrow areas there. That's why I raised that concern. We should be looking at that, and there may be some widening required over there.
Well, as I said, we are going to widen along our entire frontage.
I'm just
And
concerned from your property to 537. There's some
I
narrow
think
areas.
it provides, we ran the trucks there. I think you've got plenty of width between our widening the taper back to where you are and then the cartway width at the intersection of 537. I don't think it's necessary to accommodate the tractor trailers to widen any further than what's out there today.
How wide is it in front of you?
At the end of it, we'll be providing 27 feet.
So it's 27 feet consistently from
So-
the whole,
What we'll end up doing is doing 12-foot on the eastern side of 537, the opposite side from us, 15 feet on ours, and then we'll taper back to the existing conditions, right? And that's what's required as
which is
part of this.
24 to 25?
So we'll taper back to the existing width. It's a little under 24 at the southern end, and then it widens as you approach 537.
So we're prepared to do those road improvements across the front of the property, including the widening and resurfacing, and the 2 intersections that we have described to you. Those are the offers that your applicant is in the way of road
We need to
improvements.
study 537 and Tavern Road, is that what we need?
If you want, we're going there at your direction, and now you're asking us to quantify what that's going to be.
And that's why I said, I just want to make sure you
Yeah.
know it's going to be a slower, you have to spend a lot of time there to make a turn. That's what,
Until you have the county improvement plan,
And the county-
more traffic is going to
Correct.
make the
Those
intersection
trucks will have
slow.
a slower time making a
But-
turn, and us residents will not make that left turn. We'll
You'll go up to
around
the traffic
To the
light.
traffic light, right, where there won't be any trucks.
Yeah.
can you guarantee us at least 24 feet wide from the end of your property to Peterbilt's driveway? If it's 23, it's 22, make it 24. Conditional on that? Because you're not sure what it is.
So I know we are widening across
I know.
that for the new,
You
for
only
the,
have 100
for the
feet
new
left.
driveway.
But it's definitely in his property.
I know. Having trucks going, you need a little wider lane.
Matt, I mean, forget the applicant. The whole road needs to be redone.
That's what we call off-site improvements. How much-
Somehow, some way, the whole road needs to be done.
Oh, yeah.
Whether this applicant's there or not, I mean, it needs to be done. It's a bad road. It cannot, that road's almost like a residential back neck road. It's not a business park friendly road.
Again, my biggest concern is where the trucks are going. That's why I'm talking about this side.
Understood,
Before, I was pushing for the rest because that's where the trucks were going. Now
understood,
they're not going over there.
understood.
But
But you still have,
cars go.
you still have a lot of car traffic, whether it's
Are you comfortable with 24 feet width to the corner?
whatever
Nine.
percent. Huh?
9 cars?
Mitch, it's way more than 9 cars.
I'm just parroting the test.
I disagree with him, but I mean, you
Then
know,
all bets are off.
yeah.
We can make the road improvements from across our frontage to the 537 intersection with a minimum of 24 width. We can do that as part of the improvement to that end. So you'll have, from our driveways to the Route 537, you'll have the full improvement.
So, Matt, you were mentioning a minute ago, requiring or asking for a revised traffic report to follow the conversation. So I'm just real open with you. Do we need that, or does the county need that?
He explained to you what we're doing, so I don't think we need it. It's up to you, but just remember this one is no longer valid. I mean, there's some of the information is good, but most of them isn't, that's all. County may ask for it.
We've changed the direction of traffic at your request.
Yes, we did, I know,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Is that road improvement program acceptable to the board? That's what,
I can only speak individually to, from my perspective, yes, because you've accommodated our concern of sending the traffic of concern to that direction, so you focused your attention that way. So from my perspective, yes.
And you widen the radius here, you widen the radius on 537.
we make the improvements as
Yeah,
described
a
at
little bit here, a little bit
the,
here.
all of that, and the intersection improvements. At the other side, we turn into a true 90-degree intersection. We do full road improvements from our beginning of our property until we get to 537 with a minimum width of 24 feet. That's the
So-
offer.
The question I had earlier about the bore testing for the center of the roadway, that Matt had suggested at the
There was
last
a
meeting.
comment that you would bore test the center of the road to make sure there's enough asphalt to accommodate truck traffic.
We'll
Well,
come up with,
discussion about it.
we'll come up with a resurfacing program to your satisfaction
To
for that
accommodate
portion of the road that we
truck.
just described. And if-
So I'll make sure it's satisfied.
whether we cut it or core it,
Okay.
you'll come out and you'll see it.
Very good.
Resurfacing is milling and paving.
No, they're
So
gonna-
you take some and you put some. Okay, so basically you take, what, let's say 1.5 inches or so, and then put maybe 2 inches, 3 inches of asphalt. It's just the thickness of the current road now. If it's 5-6 inches, because I travel on it, not a lot, you know, but so does everybody, like it's always empty. So I don't think it'd have more than 5-6 inches of asphalt.
Again,
If
that's
you're
what we're
gonna run
talking
traffic,
about. They're
yeah.
gonna do
Yeah,
some
so
samples.
if you core it, you core it,
yeah.
you know, you find out what
Yeah.
it is, and just make it applicable
If
for
I
trucks
see
to
2 inches,
go
I'll
on
ask
it.
for 12 more inches or something, we'll see.
Or concrete, right?
We'll work it out. If this is acceptable to the board, we'll work it out with Mr. Shafai, whether we cut it, core it, we'll figure out what's there. And
Pavement will be the last things we'll do over there, because we have a lot of trucks going back and forth before everything.
As you direct.
Especially those
As you
sewer
direct.
trucks.
Right, if that concludes this witness's testimony, I'd like to open it up to the public, for any members of the public that have any questions or comments on the testimony we just heard from this traffic expert. Seeing no members of the public, I'll close the public portion and move to your next witness.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. David Collins is an architect and responsible for the plans that have been prepared. We will share his credentials and swear him in and share his credentials.
Sir, raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you either swear or affirm that any testimony given in connection with this proceeding be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And name and address, please.
David Collins, 213 Holly Avenue, Lincroft, New Jersey.
Mr. Collins, please share with all here your professional and educational background.
I hold a Bachelor of Architecture from Roger Williams University. I'm an NCARB certificate holder. I'm licensed to practice architecture in New Jersey, New York, and Nevada. Testified under many different boards across the state. I believe I've been in front of this board as well.
Is your license current and in good standing?
It is.
Mr. Chair, may I ask that you allow Mr. Collins to testify as an architect and an expert in that field this evening?
Yes, that's fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll have a few questions for you, but I'm going to ask if you could present your building to the board in a narrative fashion, identifying the exhibits from which you're working. And I think that the floor plan is a significant element of the board's concern, but certainly the facade treatment is most important.
So I'll be, this is exhibit number 30. All three of these boards are 30, so my whole presentation, I'll refer to the sheet number, and it's all 30. So I'm really quickly just going to run through the floor plan. The bottom of the sheet, these plans are oriented the same way as the site plan. The bottom of the sheet is the passenger parking area. We show a possible office area in the center here. There was a question before about the amount of office. We're proposing a total of 6,160 square feet total. However, that's divided up between two or one tenant. That's the maximum that it's going to be. And we're also showing potential demising areas so that this building could be used as one tenant, obviously, or two tenants, or possibly three tenants if phase two is implemented. Phase two is implemented with the loading docks on the side. To the rear of the building, we have an above-ground water storage tank. It's a 30-foot diameter by 40 feet tall, and it sits adjacent to a pump room. That pump room will, pump water for the ESFR sprinkler system that we're proposing for the building. And so that's a rapid sprinkler system. It's great for these types of buildings. And we've already worked out with the fire marshal and fire official the pieces that they want. They're all here. They're noted. We're going to give them a Knox box. The FDC is going to be towards the back of the building so that everything is located exactly where they requested it to be located. And then in the back, obviously, is the loading dock. There's a drive-in ramp on either side, and then loading docks at dock level through this middle here. I'm going to jump to sheet A100 because this is obviously the most important part. This is generally the same rendering of the front of the building. What we did is we first did a rendering without the landscaping purposely to be able to talk about the building. And then on the bottom we did a little bit further back the view from the street with the landscape buffer so that you could see the actual street view when all the landscaping and everything's put in. So what we did is we created three entranceways to mark the entrances. The main entrance obviously in the center with a glass vestibule that projects forward, a canopy, and a gabled roof. And then two ancillary entrances that are marked again with the gabled canopy and the glass entrance. And one of the waivers we need is your ordinance talks about materials for these types of buildings and basically is pretty explicit about very specific materials being split face block and stucco or synthetic stucco. And this building is going to be a tilt-up concrete building, and there's a lot of advantages to this type of construction, but obviously it looks different. So What we've done is, it's hard to see because it's such a dark color, but we're actually going to imprint in the concrete the appearance of blockwork. We use form liners to cast that into the concrete, and then the top is painted with a special coating to look like stucco. And we purposely kept these colors earth tone and dark because darker colors tend to recede and make things look smaller. Lighter colors tend to make buildings look bigger. So we purposely, have darker colors here for our color materials. And then again, on the bottom, you can see how much of this is filtered with all of this landscaping that's proposed in the buffer between the street and the building. Again, this building is down a little bit from the street, so the berm creates a nice buffer, and then this landscaping kind of finishes it off. Other two design waivers quickly. One has to do with roof pitch, and these types of buildings really can't comply with your height requirements and the steeper building roof pitches. It's just kind of impossible to get those two things to work. So our roof is less than, I believe it's 5 on 12 pitch, but it doesn't, it's all pretty much hidden by the parapet walls anyways. So that is one waiver. And the second waiver that was noted was breaks in the facade walls, ins and out steps. We couldn't really achieve that, but again, we marked these entrances and we did step the parapet walls up to kind of mark the center a little bit more. So although we still need a design waiver, we did try to do that. And also I'd note that we are buffering this building with a lot of landscaping. One, two, and third was the materials, which I discussed earlier. They're supposed to be explicitly split face block and stucco, and I think we've essentially achieved that with our design.
When I'm looking at this, let's take that top perspective. There's the first, I'll call it 6 feet, which is some form of treatment, and then the next, the top 2/3. Is that flat, meaning at 90 degrees, or is that angled back?
This wall is all vertical, it's flat,
it's all
vertical.
Okay.
Right, so
it's hard to see in their perspective.
Yeah, the bottom part of that, there's ribbing that's cast in to make it look like blockwork. And then the top there's not, so that it looks more like smooth stucco. So that's maybe better better to see on A100 here.
Yeah, obviously my eyes are playing tricks on me. It just looks like it's tapering back.
How's that look?
Yeah, there's some angle happening to it that I'm sure isn't intended, but it's just maybe the way
the shade.
Yeah,
the shade of it makes it look like it's in.
Yeah, it looks like it's going back, it's going straight up. Right?
Straight wall. Just a little bit of contrast in color, I think, is tricking your eye.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's actually easier to see it. The colors are easier to see on the computer screen.
Actually, I just want to warn you, this rendering is actually the color version of this black and white rendering. And I initially had a conversation with your planner, and she suggested that we darken the colors.
So the color we're seeing on the computer is lighter.
It's the top is almost white, and
Yeah.
we're proposing to make a much darker earth tone.
Okay.
So the other rendering would be better to look at. Yeah, if you go up from there, it would be perfect.
We met with Ms. Mertz at the end of last summer. That was one of her recommendations to the building.
Yeah, that's great, right there. Thank you.
Yeah, they have that.
Also, the building design that you're showing the board, and if you could just confirm, this is the design that we presented to the fire officials. This is the building that they commented on when they gave you the directions. Is that correct?
It's correct.
And if you could also confirm the building is fully suppressed.
Fully suppressed ESFR system, yes.
There was a question earlier about generator. Is there, you could identify where the generator would be located on the site?
Yeah, he said in the back.
Yeah, so the generator would be in this island area right next to the tank in the back. And that generator will really be limited to the essentials for the building. So it will obviously power the pump for the sprinkler system, emergency lights, things like that. So it's really only for the essential services, not to power the entire building.
The last question I have is if you could describe the HVAC system and how the HVAC system is screened.
So the bulk of this building will be gas-fired unit heaters. Those will be hung inside the building. They won't be seen from the outside at all. And we have relatively small area of office. It's only about 6,000 square feet. So we intend to use split systems, so the furnace will be inside the building and the condensing unit will put on the roof. We're confident that the higher section of parapet wall in the center of the building will shield that from view. If for some reason it doesn't, we will screen it as required. So either way, it won't be seen.
So can I ask you, so you have the finished roof and then there's an additional parapet, is what you're saying?
Yes.
So the whole height then, what's the whole height from ground to the top of the parapet then?
Well, let me, if you don't mind, let me just quickly explain the dimensions so that I can help you understand it. So building height in town is measured from a grade plane, which is the average elevation around the building, to the highest part of the roof itself, right? So that's building height. And so that height is shown here at 40 feet, which is the allowable building height. And you're allowed to go over that height with the parapet, and we're going over that by about 3 feet. So from the grade plane to the top of the center section, the highest parapet is 43 feet. But there's a gap between the grade plane because it's actually lower than finished grade, right? We're starting from a lower average because of our loading docks in the back are lower. So the truth is, visually, it will be about 40 feet at that higher point of parapet in the center section, because you lose some for the grade plane and you gain some for the parapet.
There was one point that Tom made earlier. Tom, it just helped. The building is not at the same level as the roadway. I believe that the building is 6 or 7 feet below the roadway. If you could help out with that piece of information.
4 feet.
4 feet. 4 feet. 4 feet below the roadway, and then the berm is. And there's a berm in front of the building.
There's a berm, yes, that's right.
2-foot berm.
The 2 foot, Tom, am I right? It says 2 feet on the top right. Yeah?
2 to 4. 2 to 6.
Yeah, 2 to 6 or 2 to 4? It varies because of the slope of the road, but it's 2 to 6 feet from the road. And then there's that drop down to the building. So from the road, the profile of the building is actually lower than if you were standing at the front door looking up at the roof.
I have nothing further of David. He is available to you for.
I have a more of a curious question than anything. Will you be having a on-site mailbox station or on the Burnt Tavern Road?
I think the postmaster tells you the answer.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I don't remember on that road if there was the other sites are on the street, or are they on site?
Yeah, but I know we had to go to the postmaster to get our arrangement. We had to do
A gang box.
a gang
of
box.
some sort.
Yeah, we were required to have a gang box and so that they could come off the road. But we would go to the postmaster and find out what that instruction is.
And just to confirm, there is no storage of trailers on the property?
There is no storage of trailers on the property.
Okay, and then where are the designated trash locations on the property?
You comfortable, David, or Tom?
I'm sure Tom will back me up. I can show you one here on the architectural drawings. It's to the back, right next to the water tower. All right. And then the second one, I'm going to refer to A31, is to the north side of the building. Here. Oh, wait. There's 3. Oh, you moved that one. I'm sorry. I take it back. The one that I said was by the tank was moved to the south side of the loading dock area. Apologize for that.
And there's not going to be any storage of outside materials from any tenant?
No outdoor storage is permitted, no trailer storage is permitted. And also, there was a commitment made in response to Mr. Lambros that there would be no public warehousing. This is tenants, not the public that leases short-term a little bit of space, so no public warehousing.
Thank you.
Allison, did you have anything from the memorandum or anything you wanted to?
I think you mean Elena, but that's all right.
Who's that?
Yes, I have a couple questions from the report.
Hey, wait, that's officially Mike's fault. I said, "What's our plan?"
All is forgiven. It's been a while since I've been here to
That's
see you
fine.
guys.
Called Angela, it's okay.
Well, I usually call you Pam, for the record.
We have an Angela here?
I thought he asked who their planner was.
No, you have to
Who was-
explain it.
who was
Allison's
Allison.
on
That's
that
Allison,
side.
yes, and I'm Elena.
I had a feeling
All
that's
right,
what it
Allison,
was.
we'll get to you next.
Yeah, so I just have some questions about what are the materials for the building's sides and rear? Is it the same as what you're proposing for the front? Are they treated the same way?
Yeah, when, we actually are treating the three sides that are visible that way, and the back side will be all that's kind of stucco finished concrete. You can see it rendered here, A30, A101.
Okay, and then as for the office space shown on the floor plan, that's more just kind of conceptual at this point?
Yeah, it's conceptual and it's just there to diagram the amount of office that will be in the building total.
Would you be opposed to submitting once you kind of get the nuts and bolts together for how it's finally going to be, submitting that for review?
The problem is we don't have tenants yet, so
Okay.
it's gonna be based on which tenants come into the building.
We would expect that the resolution, if one were to be adopted, would identify the maximum that we've identified, and that construction would be checking it off to make sure that we abide by that.
Okay. And then comment about whether you're going to have solar on the roof, any type of lighting or like daylighting or any kind of energy saving measures.
So we are going to build the roof to be solar ready, so we're gonna add the extra collateral load into the design of the roof so that solar panels can be put on the roof without any additional structural changes to the building.
Is it gonna be wired to accommodate it as well for future installation? Like conduits and to accommodate?
I don't think that that's really necessary. I mean, from the electric service that will be there, which is gonna be towards the back of the building, it'd be very easy for them to poke out for the transfer switch and up onto the roof. So everything in this building, especially in the back of the building, is gonna be fully exposed at all times because it's a warehouse.
Easy hookup then?
Yeah, so it's an easy hookup. I don't think it's worth spending money on conduits or something like that at
Thank
this
you.
time.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure if it's you who answer this or the engineer, but just some testimony about the lighting of the site.
The site lighting?
Was that already addressed last
Last
time? Sorry,
year,
I'm
yeah.
trying to keep with
Yeah,
McKinley's
that-
report and figure out what was
Yeah, went through
addressed.
that, yeah. No spillage, off-site,
I think they said
all
it's full
shielded.
LED lighting. I believe.
LED lighting.
Okay.
All back shielded,
Can we just
outside
bring up
shields.
item 20 on page 9?
Noise levels from the buildings, and whether there is any, need to mitigate the impact of the noise. I know some of as part of phase 2, there are some loading docks that are facing the affordable housing development adjacent to the site. Can you provide some testimony about, how that can be better mitigated?
I
Or
think
does it need to?
the bottom line answer is that there is no relief from the sound statute or sound ordinance. There's none permitted. The board isn't empowered to grant the relief. We can't ask you for it. We must abide by the sound requirements. We have the decibel ratings during the day and the decibel ratings at night, and it's enforceable. I mean, there's no relief available. You can't get a variance.
A question on the water tower. You said it's 40 feet tall. How visible is it from the north side? Is it visible at all, or would the tree line be covering the height of the water tower?
Well, I don't think I can testify to the height of the existing trees to the north, but, this is back around the corner of the building. It's about the same height as the building. We're happy to paint it the same color as the building if you like. It's pretty well camouflaged.
I'm just worried about visibility from it from the CKV properties. I don't know if they want to necessarily see the water tower looking out their windows.
So the water tower is no higher than the building.
Water tower's no higher than the building, and
It's
its
of the same
location was
color
as,
the building.
that-
So nothing's sticking out, of the same color as the building.
Yeah, it'll pretty much blend in with that wall.
Okay.
and it's, the location was picked by the fire department. They put the FDC, the pump, the water tower, all in one location and told you how it was to be on the plan.
Yep, and the Knox box.
And the
exactly.
Knox box.
Yes.
And there's no lights on the water tower, no?
No lights on the water tower, no.
Okay.
We never spoke about the stormwater management around the building. Anybody got?
We did all of that last, in
Yeah.
February, was from beginning to end on it,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's okay, right?
Mr. Shafai said it was.
The phase two we discussed last time, do they come back here for phase two, or?
We're asking that you consider it as a single phase.
But the application is preliminary only.
So the overhead doors won't be going in presently
The overhead doors.
Phase two.
for phase two.
Do you intend to put the phase two overhead doors again, or not? So knockouts?
Yeah, we'll do knockout panels in the concrete for future doors.
So you're only here for phase one? Yeah.
No, we're asking for phase one and two.
As one
We're at-
phase,
yeah.
you see one approval for the whole project. So in 5 years from now, when you do phase two, you don't have to come back here.
Correct.
What about the additional parking spaces that you have on your plan?
The additional parking spaces that are,
There's 32 parking spaces that's reserved for future. I don't know what that means.
we are asked, we talked about this months ago, so we have more parking than the ordinance requires.
Correct.
We're something of an isolated site. If we have, as Justin said, you have a shift change, or what I have seen, on the day when the insurance company says, I want every employee there because I'm coming in for training. I mean, there is the day that the parking lot, there are times and days that the parking lot is at maximum. We don't have any room. We can't go out on the streets. We shouldn't be in the driveways. We just want to have a reservoir for some additional parking.
Yeah, but you're not proposing it right now.
We can, well,
So
we
in
talk.
10 years from now, you could just come in and do it without coming back to the board. That's what I'm.
What we asked, and this is part of a discussion that we had in your office back in the summer,
Yeah.
and that was, we can pave it, but we may not need it, so we designed the stormwater system to accommodate it.
You have.
And we would green bank it. If it could stay green, it would stay green. But if the parking need was there, the parking could be installed, and the full stormwater system is
So
there.
Parking down the road if you need it.
And the impervious coverage is not violated
That
under any,
understand, yeah.
we're, both building coverage and impervious coverage, we're considerably below the
I agree with
ordinance.
that. I want to make sure the board knows that in 5 years from now, when they dig a new parking lot, you know what it is.
Okay, or we can build the whole thing up front, but it just
You
seems,
may, yeah.
it seems like it's better
I
not
don't
to.
know if the board wanted that many parking spaces, so.
Well, but it sounds like the proposal is not to build them, but they have the right to build them at a later date without board
That's what the
intervention.
proposal is, yes. Just want to make sure the board knows.
So, but the developers agreement could have a baked-in paragraph that says, in the event they want to move forward with that, they would have to give the engineer 45 days notice. Not sure what you would do with that notice, but at least you would know it's happening.
So that would be pre-approved to put that wherever you choose to?
No, the location is exactly
The
shown.
location is there.
And it's designed. There's a
So
design
it's just adding
standard.
on to the existing?
Adding to the existing.
Adding to the existing, correct.
It's just if they never need it or never build it, it just stays as green space.
And it's, I mean, green banking parking is something that,
So how many are allowed right now? 60?
60.
And then 35 is gonna be all total 95?
Tom?
It's 60 plus 30.
Yes.
92.
92.
So then I would suggest that the developer's agreement would have a sentence that would say that in the event the applicant decides to proceed with those, any or all of those 32 spaces, they would submit a letter to Matt, copy the town attorney, saying we intend to proceed, and I would also ask that there be another sentence in there that says why. We're proceeding because of. Put something in there so that it gives Matt one opportunity to say, hey, wait a minute, what the heck?
Matt, are
why
they
you
not gonna
doing
have to apply for permits to do those improvements?
Every time you add
I mean, they have the
impervious,
approval to do them, but they're gonna have to come in for permits to do the new work.
They
And it's
would-
gonna have to be inspected.
Construction permit you talking about? There is no construction permit for paving. There isn't.
For disturbance? They're gonna be disturbing
Maybe,
land.
they may just zoning it, that's about it. But we already approved the impervious with that included.
Aren't you required to inspect that to make sure it's done
I
in
am.
accordance with the plans?
Yep.
And they're gonna have to notify that, they're gonna have to post
Usually we
fees
require
for inspection
bond,
fees and
but
bond.
it's a private, so there's really no bond anymore.
So, but there's an inspection fee and a pre-construction meeting.
We'll keep
Okay,
the-
so
we'll
maybe-
keep the
maybe-
inspection fee till it's all done. Or just developer's agreement will say you post the inspection fee.
Post-inspection fee for that and have a pre-construction agreement.
Perfect.
Pre-construction meeting with the engineer.
It may not be me, maybe retired by then, but we'll see.
There's no retirement in our
I
plans.
know. I thought that my wife was
Okay. Anything further from our professionals for this witness?
Just one more comment. Would you mind putting just like a note about the colors onto the plans, onto the final
Sure.
plans?
Yeah, resolution, sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just so we
Yes,
can have
definitely.
something
I
with
actually
colors and
Wrote
materials.
it down myself.
Yeah,
so.
certainly, yeah. I'll put it
Yeah, I
down.
don't think it was mentioned in the report, but I think that's something, as I was with the board and they got caught up that the wrong colors were put on the plans. And they said the one thing with numbers were wrong and they built the wrong building. So, I try to make sure that everything's outlined best as possible.
Sure, certainly.
Before, thank you.
Anything further for this witness before we open it to the public? Okay, so any member of the public that has any questions or comments with regard to the architecture that this witness discussed? Seeing none, we'll close the public questions at this time for this witness. The next
For
witness.
final witness?
Yeah, typically the board would look to cut off any new testimony after 10 o'clock. Is this, how long do you anticipate this testimony going?
It's one variance, I can cut right to that.
10 minutes. Yes, are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay, and that would be your last witness?
That's the last witness that we intend to call, yes.
I got it right
Okay,
here.
or I'm just asking, if everyone
You
okay
don't
to?
start the clock till I'm sworn in.
Everyone okay to keep rolling? Seeing no objections, yes, we have heat, so you can go ahead.
Now we have
It's getting a little
Allison.
hot. A little warm.
You either swear or affirm that any testimony given in connection with this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
And name and address.
Allison Coffin, you can call me Allison. I work for James W. Higgins Associates. We're based out of 14 Tilton Drive in Ocean Township, New Jersey. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. Had my license certification since 2005. In that time, I've been accepted as an expert witness in front of boards in more than 100 communities throughout the state. I like to stay in Monmouth, Ocean, and Middlesex counties because I don't like the long drive. And I have appeared here in Millstone quite a number of times, but mostly in front of your zoning board.
Your license is current and in good standing?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would ask that you allow Allison Coffin to testify as a professional planner and find her to be an expert in her field.
Okay, that's acceptable, please proceed.
Normally, I like to go through everything I did to prepare and a preamble and set up my testimony, but I'm being timed. So I'm going to jump right to the C variance.
Yeah,
There's
thank
one.
you, we appreciate
There's
that.
one C variance that remains. The ordinance requires that a setback to a residential zone or use of 300 feet to the principal building on the site. So we measured two different ways to determine the setback to that use. It's 126.4 feet to the lot line or 276 feet to the home. Now, I would love to have to justify only the 276 feet, but I think the board should be conservative and look at this from the 126 feet with the knowledge that that home is set back deep within the site that it's on and is perhaps not the only activity happening on that site.
I just want to, just so we're clear, so 126 feet gets you to the property line?
Yes.
And the difference between 126 and 276 is the depth of that home from its property line?
Yes.
So meaning that home is set back 150 feet?
Yes.
From the property line? Okay, so half a football field.
Yes. And it does not, I looked
Sorry,
at...
did I say that wrong?
That's right.
Okay, all right, got it.
I went to the site, I looked at the aerial. I can't really determine for certain what's happening on that site across the street. It was listed as a residential property the last time it was sold. The aerial photographs do seem to indicate there is more than residential activity happening on that site, having represented a large number of contractors, both landscape and otherwise, that have been operating out of their own properties. That is the type of aerial pattern we would expect to see, but I couldn't confirm it because when I drove by the property, I couldn't see into it. Between the berming that already exists and the fact that they parked a camper across what appears to be the shipping containers on the aerial, visibility into that site is not great from the roadway, which is important to remember because if visibility into the site from the roadway isn't good, visibility out of the site to our property has also been obscured by the berming that they've already placed on that property. So when we look at this C2 variance, or the C variance for this setback for this residence, the variance relief that we're looking at is a bulk or C variance, and there's two tests within the municipal land use law for this type of variance. The first is the C1 standard. That's a hardship variance, and it's appropriate when something like the lot's unique shape, topographic conditions, or pre-existing structures create a situation where the strict application of the ordinance results in hardship. The second standard, the C2 standard, is justifiable when the purposes of the municipal land use law are being advanced by the variance and the benefits of the variance substantially outweigh any detriments. It's my opinion that this variance can be granted under those C2 standards. So first part of the C2 test is the positive criteria. It's my opinion that this variance advances the purposes of the municipal land use law with regard to promoting public health, safety, and general welfare, providing space in an appropriate location for an industrial use, and promoting a more desirable visual environment. The benefits of the variance in this case, it allows for the proper and effective development of this site with a warehouse use and an intensity that is anticipated by the ordinance and is appropriate for this lot and is associated with significant off-site improvements to the roadways in the area. Then looking at the negative criteria, it's my opinion that in this one unique case, there is no significant detriment to this variance as the applicant's proposing it. The purpose of this required setback variance is to mitigate any potential conflict between the permitted uses in the BP zone and any residential zone or use that's within 300 feet of the building. In this case, the use across the street does appear to be a mixed use, so that the main commercial impact to that residence is already happening on the same lot as the residence. This lot has a significant landscape berm also along its frontage, which provides visual screen from the roadway already. The applicant has designed their site plan to mitigate potential impacts to that dwelling. The site is lower than the street and the home across from it, and when combined with the existing landscape berm on the residential lot and the berm and landscaping proposed on the subject site, the visual impact of the development will be minimal to that property. Through a combination of berming and site grading, the proposed building is sitting at 6 feet below the top of the berm that's proposed on the subject site, 4 feet below the roadway, and this reduces the perceived height of the structure. The top of the proposed berm is above the roadway, so that the proposed landscaping will be above the road and well above the proposed parking in the front and will help soften and screen the building. And the applicant has agreed to work with the board's professionals to revise the landscaping and the berm along the subject site frontage to accommodate sidewalk while maintaining the impact of the proposed berm and landscaping and screening the building. Loading activity on the site, which has the potential to be the most impactful aspect of a warehouse use on the on-site activities. The loading docks are proposed to be mainly to the rear, with a few loading docks on the side. None of them are facing the street. The side docks, which are closest to the home, are more than 300 feet from the residence across Burnt Tavern Road, and this limits the impact of on-site activities to this home. So it's my opinion in this case that the benefits of this variance would outweigh the detriments. Now, the last test of a variance is whether or not it would substantially impair your master plan and development ordinance. Here we have a use that is permitted and appropriate, an intensity of a use that is below what is permitted in the zone, and the proposed warehouse use itself is consistent with the master plan's goal for the BP district, which is to encourage the planned development of business parks, which would include offices, distribution warehouse facilities, and designated light industrial low-intensity uses, which would be suitable for on-site septic system and water systems. So for those reasons, it's my opinion that positive reasons do exist for the granting of the variance. It can be granted without detriment to the health, safety, and general welfare of the public, and it would result in an improvement of the site, which is consistent with the goals of your master plan and development ordinance.
I'm going to ask if we could just make certain that the record reflects that the permitted lot coverage is 70% and the proposed lot coverage is approximately 55%?
Yes.
So when you say less intense, and we are approximately 15% lower in lot coverage, and in building coverage, there is a permitted 40%, and this building is at 31 and maybe 31 point something percent.
Yes.
Again, significantly below that which is permitted. That's what you're referring to when you say that it is less intense
Yes.
than is contemplated. And there are no variances at all for any element of the on-site design.
That's correct.
Mr. Chair, I have nothing further than this.
One procedural question. The home that we're talking about that's across the street, or the mixed-use lot, as you phrased it, just confirm for me that that lot was given notice in the typical public notice system?
You can have the notice package here. That person has not contacted any of us, nor has that person attended any of the meetings. One thing that I just make, across the street is the highway commercial zone. It wraps around from 537 and comes down into Millstone. So that area is designated for shopping centers.
No, I get that. I just wanted to make sure that.
There's a spider on behind you. Now it's a dead spider.
Thank you.
Full service here, Ken.
Less than 10 minutes.
Yeah. Might have been a tarantula.
5, I think.
Notice would have been nice.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna hand you the notice. That's what I thought was happening.
Exactly what I thought.
Like,
Now, see, at this angle, you saw the spider coming down the
you have
chair.
the notice.
all right. Okay, thank you. So that's exactly where I was going, that you provided notice, they haven't contacted you, they haven't shown it, but the planning board, and Danielle, you haven't heard any. Okay, but that neighbor hasn't contacted you either? Okay, all right, thank you, that was my question. We can open it up to any questions from the board, but I did want to let our professionals weigh in if they had any comments or questions. You know I'm not going to use your name now.
I don't have any comments or questions.
Okay, how are you satisfied that the testimony meets the land use law criteria for the variance?
I am. Just some things for the board to keep in mind is that really the impact of this, since there is that one variance needed, which is the setback from residential properties or zone. One thing to keep in mind, when you decide on whether or not to grant the variance is whether or not what the applicant is proposing to do to mitigate its impact on those adjacent properties, whether you think it's sufficient with the berm and landscaping and the irrigation for the landscaping, which is proposed with the truck loading docks located to the most part to the rear of the site. I know there was some discussion, McKinley filled me in at last month's meeting about the headlights and the impact of headlights on adjacent properties. That's kind of been discussed and worked through. So it's kind of really what is the how else could this use be mitigated? How could the impacts be mitigated anymore? I think that the applicant is doing a lot. The only other option at this point, I think, is perhaps to reduce the size of the building along that front, bring it in to meet that 300 foot, but the adjacent property is set back, pretty far from that lot line. So it's.
Okay. So I just had one thought to follow up with your comment about mitigating the intensity or mitigating the variance. And I perfectly acknowledge the fact that it's 276 feet from you to them, and that it's, in my vernacular, he's set back half a football field from the road, which in my thinking is a lot. And he has things in front of he or she has items between his home and the road that block the visual. If that person were here, my only conversation with him would be, if during the time that this new use takes shape across the street from you, and you noticed some gaps in the landscaping, that the applicant might be available to fill in those gaps. Because no matter how a landscaping plan comes together in real life, I always find that, wow, how did we leave that spot? That should have been another pine tree or something. So absent that neighbor from being here, I would say to Matt and the applicant that at the time that the landscaping is installed, that Matt has the authority to go out there and take a real life look at it and see if he finds any gaps that might create that visual intrusion that we're not anticipating right now, and would the applicant be willing to supplement those gaps as might be reasonably requested?
You're comfortable with it?
Yes, absolutely.
We've done it before, I like it. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. And that condition, you can pick a timeline for that condition, certainly runs through the bonding. Certainly run.
Yeah, I would think that's long enough for Matt to get a real feel for it and see how it's matured. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Any questions from any board members?
I do. For the proposed phase 2, for the loading docks that are going to be facing northbound, is there a berm that is going to be to the north of that docking space?
It's all woods.
No, I know it's woods, but,
Tom.
you know, in the middle of the winter when there's no trees that have, you know, grass, no, not grass, but leaves and stuff, it's going to be a sight line. So my question is there a berm that's going to prevent the site from the residents looking through to that side of the building?
Just for a visual, Exhibit A32 is Phase 2, shows the loading dock area. There is no berming proposed there, but there is that wetland buffer that we're not touching, so there's a large, it's over 150 feet or so of a wooded area that naturally buffers this site, the loading area from those off-site properties.
So what, and this is a question to the board and everybody else, when the trucks back into the loading dock, they're gonna idle, correct? And when they idle, they normally leave their lights on, so those lights are gonna be facing the northbound direction. So in the winter, in the summer, not a big deal, you know, when it's heavily, you know, lined with leaves and everything else. My question would be during the winter months, when the trees are scarce and you could see through them.
There's a substantial buffer there. There's a fencing provided along that side.
What's the height of the fence that you've designed?
I believe it's 6 feet, 4 to 6 feet in height. I don't have the exact dimension, but 4 to 6 feet would easily block any headlights there.
Is it a solid fence or chain link?
It's chain link at this point, but we could certainly work with the board.
Well, the reason why I asked if there was a berm, because the berm would actually mitigate any noise and push it up instead of out.
Yep, yeah, there's no berm, there is the natural wooded area. The setbacks, the pervious coverage, everything in that area is compliant with the ordinance, but we're not proposing a berm at this time.
But you're okay to change the fence to a solid fence so that it provides
Absolutely.
that
I see
shielding that the mayor
issue
was
with
talking
that.
about?
Absolutely.
Do we want to put the fence on a berm, couple-foot berm, and then have a fence?
Wouldn't that impact the wetland area?
Yeah, we can't impact that wetland area, there's just simply no room for.
You put it on the
for a berm.
inside of the 150.
That would be the best scenario, to put the berm in the fence, but,
Yeah.
because it would mitigate the noise.
It'll
and-
give you
and-
about depending on the fence, between 8 to 10 feet of blockage.
You could do an
It
8-foot fence.
it depends on the distance of the paved area, because the trucks go in and out and they turn and all that stuff.
Matt, would they need a variance if they went to an 8-foot fence?
8 foot needs a variance,
And
yes.
be published for any
6 is
variances
max.
determined to be necessary or appropriate by the board or staff. I think if that would address it, the problem with the berm is the dimension at the base is so broad, for every foot, you need about 10 feet. But we could do an 8-foot opaque, solid, probably the best materials, either vinyl or composite, and that running along that.
That'll work with the headlights. If it's 8
There's
feet.
a retaining wall proposed over there. Isn't that a
Correct.
retaining wall?
Retaining wall and fence, correct.
How high is the retaining wall?
It's about,
Yeah, I'm sure it's here somewhere. So you have a retaining wall, on top of that you have the fence.
correct. The wall is only about 3 to 4 feet high.
So if you put a 4-foot
Our
fence
site-
on top of it, you have 8 feet.
Right, and if you put that 8-foot fence on top of it, you have
12
an effective wall.
Right, which
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, right, 12.
Let's go with I'd say we go with an 8-foot solid fence.
8-foot solid fence.
And the board would be agreeable to the variance that that creates.
And you want to pick a color, gray, brown, black, and we don't want white.
That's
Earth
Jeff's
tone.
got to figure
Earth
that
tone.
out.
Okay, we'll find an earth.
If you want, you can paint it like a forest mural on it too. Really blends.
We'll let you paint it.
that would be now or at the top of phase 2?
It goes in with phase 2. The wall goes with phase 2.
Goes with phase 2, okay.
So are we saying the wall and the fence would happen at phase 2? Because
Yes.
that's when the loading dock
Yes.
would happen.
Yes.
All right, makes sense. Anything further for this witness? Professionals, no. We'll open up to the public for any questions or comments for the planner. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Mr. Pape, does that conclude your witnesses?
That concludes the applicant's presentation, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So at this point, I'll open it up, back up to the public for any comments from any members of the public on this application as a whole. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion. And Mike, unless you had any other instruction for us, it would seem that it's an opportunity to ask the applicant if there's a closing statement, and then any board deliberation, and then a motion.
Correct.
Okay. So if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Pape, a
Thank you.
brief summary
I'll
would be
I'll
helpful.
be brief. I know that Mr. Stipe has copious notes of the commitments that were made by the applicant. But with each and every one of the commitments the applicant made to the board in February, as well as the commitments that the applicant has made to the Shade Tree Commission, and to the fire officials, and all of the comments and commitments that were made this evening. I think that the applicant has demonstrated that he is looking forward to being a member of the Millstone community, looking forward to building something that all can be proud of. And I would point out that he has given us the authority to say yes to all that the board has asked of us. For all of those reasons, and because the building is so well designed and consistent with the ordinance, we ask that the board consider the preliminary application favorably.
Mike, at this point, I would, unless there's any other comments, I would suggest that you list the conditions for us, and then perhaps a motion could follow those conditions. But I did have one detail for the conditions. The part of the application that we were discussing, which is the improvements to the intersection of Burnt Tavern and 571, obviously you have to go get county approval for that. But the board certainly hasn't seen it. We talked about it. You showed it to us as best you could in the drawings. So if the board is inclined to grant an approval, I would suggest that a condition specific to that item would be that when you have it drafted, engineeringly drafted, and you're presenting it to the county, you would simultaneously send it to Matt so that he could review it with the board. I'm not suggesting there's going to be a material change in what we're doing, but I would like the board to follow along. So if for some reason we wanted to say to you, wait a minute, that's a little off from the vision of what you presented, we could have that conversation with you as quickly as possible through Matt and not get to a point where you're coming back for final and we're looking at it saying, is that what we said? I just don't want us or you to be surprised one way or another. So we just want to be involved and listen along. Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, does that mean we're potentially voting for preliminary and final, or just preliminary?
No, just preliminary, but it's preliminary with a twist that instead of waiting for it to come back for final for us to see it, I want to see it halfway through it.
Okay.
Just in case we all look at it and say, wait, what the heck?
Prior to filing with the county, we would provide the same plans going to the county to this planning board who distributes it to me.
Correct. Now, obviously, if the county turns you upside down, you'll let us know and we'll see where it goes.
We know all of the outside agency approvals are conditions of approval. We would, before returning to you with an application for final, have the county application in our hand, county approval in our hand.
Okay. So with that, I would look, or I'll just propose a motion to approve preliminary approval only with the variances we discussed and subject to the conditions that Mike, if you could please outline for us.
Sure you had enough time?
Just read fast.
What time, you?
Right, yeah. Cut down to, I'll keep it to 10 minutes. The applicant is going to provide a driveway easement, obtain the easement rights from the adjacent property owner for the right out only onto Burnt Tavern Road. They are also going to get the rights, whether through the Green Acres plan or purchase of an easement for the Route 537 intersection improvements. Let's see. They've indicated that they will have to submit for earthwork approvals for the amount of fill that's coming into the property.
And that would be part of tonight's approval. Is that right, Matt?
I think they have to submit the materials to Matt. Well, they still have to submit material, but it could be part of your approval.
Okay, subject to your
approval.
Okay.
Right. Let's see. So, variance is granted to permit the setback requirement. We're going to say it's to the property line of 126.4 feet, where 300 feet is required. That's the property on the opposite side of Burnt Tavern Road. Going to comply with the Shade Tree Commission reports and recommendations. They're going to make sure that the berm is to be irrigated. They're going to have in the developer's agreement the ability to maintain the easement area and the landscaping with township enforcement rights. They're going to have the driveway out as a right out only for the trucks to leave. The other exit will be two-way for in for trucks, no out for trucks, in and out for passenger vehicles. Burnt Tavern 571, there will be improvements as discussed here with a change in the radius, eliminate the ramp situation, require stop sign 90 degrees to 571, which is going to be submitted to us at the time it's submitted to the county to make sure that we're all on the same page. Title 39 requirements will go into effect, or at least the application will be made for it. Street width from the property exit to Route 537 will be a minimum of 24 feet in width. The applicant's going to resurface to the satisfaction of Mr. Shafai as to the necessary improvements. The pavement improvements are not going to be done until the other improvements are done. They're going to be the last in line. The office is going to be a maximum of 6,160 square feet, no greater. The applicant has agreed to comply with the fire department requirements. The applicant is being granted waivers from the materials, roof pitch, and facade breaks. The applicant indicated that they will have a full fire suppression system. Generator is going to be for the water tank and fire suppression, but not for the entire building. There will be no storage of trailers or other materials outside the building. There will be no public warehousing. The roof is going to be solar ready, not solar improved, but solar ready. The water tower will be the same color as the building. The approval preliminary is for phase 1 and 2. There will be a developer's agreement regarding phase 2 with inspection fees being posted and a pre-construction meeting before construction occurs. Board engineer is going to review the
As
landscape.
well as before construction occurs of the banked parking.
I'll add that. The board engineer is going to review the landscape when installed and will require filling of any gaps that might have an adverse impact upon the neighbor on the opposite side of the street. And the phase 2 will include an 8-foot solid fence on the north side of the property on top of the proposed retaining wall in earth tones.
And
then it's going to be, there's going to be compliance with your professionals' recommendations from your planner, from your engineer. Looking if there's any other reports that I've gotten here.
Did that capture?
Environmental Commission as well.
What other?
Add the color and material label to the architectural plans?
So revise architectural plans to show colors.
Yeah, color and materials. Just a label.
Good, I've got it.
Okay.
I'm also going to review the transcript from last time, and if there are any additional things that were agreed upon, I will include those as well in the resolution.
Excellent. Thank you for being so thorough. I appreciate it. All right, so I believe my motion stands with those conditions for preliminary approval. Is there a second to the motion? And to be straight, if there's no second, then the motion fails. If there's no second to the motion, is there an alternate motion? Like any advice if the board is not inclined to take action?
My suggestion would be to reinstitute your motion to approve, someone second it, and then take a vote. If the vote passes, it's approved. If the vote doesn't pass, it's denied.
Okay, so I'll reinstitute my motion to approve preliminary only, subject to the conditions presented, asking if there would be a second, and then if the board will vote one way or another. An affirmative vote for the motion is a motion to approve. A negative vote is a motion not to approve.
Correct.
Correct. So is there a second to the motion, at least in respect to allow it to proceed to a vote? Does a second obligate a board member to vote yes on the motion?
No.
It does not seem that
So-
we're going to get a second.
Well, you've got until April 30th to decide this case. If the board can't come to a vote this evening, you may have to at the next meeting. And if you don't come to a vote at the next meeting, the applicant will receive an automatic approval.
Okay. So without the board electing to take any action, the only thing left is to continue till the next hearing, Mike?
Carry the matter till the next meeting, and then you're going to vote, or the applicant will be approved without all the conditions.
All right, thanks. With Danielle?
In the meantime, may I ask if, just in case we have attendance issues, those that did not listen to the record at the last meeting, if you may do so for the next meeting?
Will do.
Mr. Cochran?
Yep.
Okay, so they can catch up? Okay. All right. So with that, I think we've concluded our business on this application for this evening.
Except for announcing that it's going to be carried without the requirement of further notice to, what is the date for the next meeting?
April 12th.
So for any member of the public who is interested in this application, it is being carried until April 12th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. in this same room when the board will come to a conclusion.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pate.
Thank you. Good night.
I don't see any other business on our agenda. Anything, Danielle, you want to point out? Mike?
No?
Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second on that one?
Go to an executive session.
I don't think so. It does not satisfying any criteria for that at the moment. We'd have to consider that for our next meeting. Or if you want to contact me, perhaps a special meeting.
We could do executive session before the next meeting?
We could call, we or I could call for a special meeting, yeah. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.